Song that's just been standing up, readings of the word. It's been such a blessing. I'm so thankful that we're able to be able to hold this youth service online. And I just want to spend 15 minutes just sharing something with you, something that the Lord has placed on my heart. About 2 weeks ago, I was praying, and I was specifically praying for the young people. And as I was praying for the young people, the Lord was asking me this question, and the question kept playing over and over in my mind. And the question was this: when this is all over, what is the change I want to see in my life? And so I began to think about that.
Yeah, so he's also did a big fucking thing. Document man did first. Really.
Aha. There's no sound. No sound yet. It's supposed to start at 2:42 now. Oh, well then, relax. If it's supposed to start at 2, just put it in the thing and wait. Oh, it's just in the other thing. But do you think this picture is... Okay. Tuesday. See, you went to Tuesday. That's the problem. No, just black. Music until it's time. They asked. Yeah.
Come here. Where added yourself? Starting. How do I want to join? I want to join the meeting. But it's at 2. It's not even 2. What's your name? Come on. Angel. Are you in it? Am I in it? How do you know? Where am I? Does it show me? I don't want it to show me in there. You want to show you? No, I don't want to be shown. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Who's this?
Are you waiting for the meeting?
I am.
Yeah, it started too, isn't it?
Yeah, I just wondered if you could hear. Well, we wanted to set it up so that at least when we get into it, we don't have any difficulty.
I think you're already set up.
Yeah. So can you see or just hear?
It depends whether you activated your video. At the bottom left corner, you'll see the video in red. If you press on that, then you'll be on the video.
Okay. And what about the mute? As in just to hear you, so you don't hear our background into yours.
Yeah, you can mute it. Then you can only hear people, and people will not hear you. Have you muted it now?
So will it be muted in the way that it would just be the speakers talking, or is it an interactive meeting?
It's now open because the way it's set up, where if the speaker is talking, nobody can talk over the speaker. And when times for question, then people will come in. And if you go in first to ask the question, you will silence everybody else, so that it will happen automatically.
I see. Okay, because because it wouldn't be so good if it's like everybody's talking and then the speaker.
The first person to speak will take priority. First come, first serve. Automatically will mute everybody else to listen to that person.
Oh, so I don't need to mute myself.
Mute yourself, then it might affect your chance to be heard, or because the machine will mute the person who is speaking. I mean, will mute everybody else than the person who is speaking.
Oh, right. Okay, then.
So if you want your question.
So basically, then we'd have to be quiet in our background.
But when the time for you want to speak, when the other person finishes, then you need to get in first to speak.
Right.
So your voice could be heard as well.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that is basically. You're already online. You're active. So even if you're doing something else in your phone now, you'll stay online till when the time comes.
Right.
And the speakers will come in. Yeah. All right. Okay. Have a good day.
You too.
Yeah, but then that means, all right, so I have to wait till 2 o'clock. Turn it off. Turn it off. Yeah.
She or we are all, let me tell you what's happening. An international armaments company who does global intelligence for the US government predicted that if we don't stop this, we're going to lose.
Hello.
Has the meeting started? Because I can't hear anything. Can anybody respond?
It started at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah. I can't hear.
Yeah, because everybody, it hasn't started, but everybody are tuning in now.
Okay. Oh, no problem.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Wow, a lot of people in the house already.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is awesome. Welcome to the heating room. Nice to see so many people here early as well for the first time, which is wow. Let's get some videos. Let's get some videos. Let's not hide ourselves. There you go. Show your videos, guys. Don't be shy. Let's see who's in the house. Hey, Sophia. Good to see you. Hey, Norma.
Hi.
Hello, my dear.
Hi.
Rufusine, I see you in nice and early. Hey, Ruth. Good to see you. Guys, don't be shy. Don't hide the videos. Let's get some videos. We've all been on lockdown. We've been on lockdown all this time. Let's get some interaction. Be together for a couple of hours. There's nobody coming. There's no viruses coming in here.
We hope. We hope.
Hey, Tanya, there you go. Oh, you're outside. Oh, that is so beautiful. I want to see some different sunshine, some different settings, some different scenes.
It's coming off and on for some reason, but yeah, I'm outside getting some of that vitamin D.
Get that vitamin D. There you go.
Yeah.
She's gonna fry out there. I like it.
Water.
And a tea as well. Wow.
The teapot.
The teapot. That is the way to do it. Let's get some more videos on it. We want to see some more people.
Come on, guys. I've turned my videos on. Turn yours on.
Don't be shy, guys. Let's interact. We're here together. We're here for the same interact. Yeah, let's not hide our face.
At the moment, I'm out and about. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Where are you? Where are you logging in from?
Birmingham, dear.
Oh, Birmingham. Wow. Which part?
Yeah.
Which part? Are you in Sutton Coldfield, Kelmsley Wood, Aston?
No, not quite the ghetto side. No.
You're not over that side. You're not over that side, Angel.
More Solihull side.
Oh, Solihull. Yeah, that's the uptown part. We like Solihull.
No, it's easy to get on the motorway.
Oh, I rang to ask you. Did you see my message? Did you see my message?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, right. No, I was saying that. Are you cooking today? So I'll do some salmon and bring over later.
I'll have some.
Yeah.
All right.
I just think about it later. Well, I was going to think about it while I was in the shops, and
I was asking about I was going to message you to say what,
say hi.
Oh,
but you most definitely will see me when I'm in the car or something.
Okay. Do.
Okay, right, guys.
I was gonna, I mean, as you're doing what you're doing today, just bringing a sermon, then I'll do the lenses. Tomorrow I'll come over, if you could show me how to do it, I'll do it while you tell me.
We're gonna get started now, guys. We're gonna get started. So
I was just going to say, Erin, just to remind people that when they're not speaking, to mute, because once there's a lot of people on there, it's going to be a bit hectic. So when they're not speaking, just to mute themselves.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute
Okay.
I'm here now.
That's me.
Derin, you locked in.
I'm asking about, you won't be picking, I don't want you picking out the background sound, so I'll be listening at the moment.
That's okay, my dear. Thank you so much for that.
Okay.
Just gonna do a quick check. Derin, are you there? Can you hear us? We're gonna do a quick sound check to make sure we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, okay, it's not a platform I want to use. Okay, getting used to the Zoom thing, yeah? Okay, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Do you know how to on video? Did you have to put your video on?
Should I go and put some clothes on first?
Listen, it's about natural health.
It's a hot day. It's a hot day, you know.
It's about natural health, so let's keep it natural, right?
Keep it natural, man.
No, that'd be sight for sore eyes, Derin.
Lockdown life, man. Okay.
That's real lockdown fever, right?
Lockdown fever, man. Okay. Okay. So where am I? Okay, I'm watching. I'm looking. Hold on a minute. Whose screen is this?
Right. You should be sharing screen. Let me unshare. You'll start sharing screen.
Nadia Brown. I'm on a screen share here.
Okay, let's get that off. Let's get all the technicals out of the way. Right, you're viewing. Right. Oh, there's no what they call those, no malwares in there where they try and come and hijack.
I think this is a problem with Zoom. You got to get off the Zoom. I think there's some thing going on with Zoom, you know, Aaron.
Really?
Yeah. Don't research Zoom is a platform with really some serious malware linked with Zoom.
Well, I see some systems
right now in America.
Right. Trying to take control of this. Right, I've muted everybody. Right, can you hear me? Right, I've muted everybody out. So let me see if I can. Derin, unmute yourself if you want to unmute yourself, because I need to just get into this.
Yeah,
you're unmuted. That's great. I want to get into this so I can get out the screen share.
Yeah, is it someone on the thing or someone else?
No.
Is it a hack or something? Or someone's clicked the wrong button?
I should be able to share at the moment. What can you see at the moment? There shouldn't be any screen sharing at the moment.
Yeah, I can see something. It's like someone's screen here. Cartoons for children, 50 healing verses, free tips to improve your concentration. So someone's screen share. It shows, it's someone called Jesus.
Okay, I'm just come out of there to make sure that you can't share these screens. Make sure that stays out completely. Yeah, it shouldn't be allowed anybody to share screen. You're viewing Jesus' screen. That's interesting. All right, so there we go. Nobody can share now. I hope. Right, Dr. Mark, are you in the house? Dr. Mark, so you have to unmute yourself. Are you in the house, Dr. Mark? So make sure everyone's here so we can get started.
I can't see me.
You can't see you?
No.
Have you tried to put yourself on video?
Well, I was on. Oh yeah, let me see. Okay.
There you are.
Okay, I'm back.
You're back. Okay. Is Dr. Mark with you?
Yeah.
He is? Okay. I should make sure we can all see ourselves.
I'm not.
Use this platform once, just for this one today. Then after that, we'll use a different platform because it's a lot easier, a lot more effective. Your platform, Derin, actually. Derin, unmute yourself so we can make sure we've got clear dialogue. To keep things
live and directly. Okay.
Live and direct.
Okay.
Yeah, I like your platform, Derin, because I think your platform is a lot more. It's easier to utilize and to maneuver.
It's easier but different. Remember, with Zoom, you can go to participants. The other one maybe you can't, except in a chat format. You know?
Okay. Well, I like this anyway. This is very good. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us. This is welcome to the Healing Rooms. This is our first one we've done online. Because obviously the situation, so we're having to revert to social media to deliver what we do. Thank you to everyone that sent the messages. Hi everyone. Thank you to all those that have participated in the chat. You know, we want to try and keep it as interactive as we can. The Healing Rooms is an opportunity where we come together, we bring health practitioners together, and we help to share information that will help empower, inspire, and uplift you surrounding your health. Today, we've got a very interesting panel of professionals, natural health professionals. In fact, some of the top natural health professionals in the UK to really come and share some insights and some tips and some advice and effective guidance on how we can navigate ourselves through this very testing and challenging time. My name is Aaron Warden, aka the Juice Doctor. I'm a nutritional therapist, CEO and founder of Go Juice Detox and My Healthcare and Vivo Nutrients. We are innovators of botanical products. We produce natural health products. We manufacture products. And we supply practitioners and we supply the general public. We combine cutting edge technology along with cleansing, detox and lifestyle change. The cutting edge technology is a scan we do that has a conversation with your body through your hand. Your body speaks via the software and produces a report that highlights the stress on all your organs. So it shows what's happening, things like your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidney, your brain, your breast, your bowels, your blood. Basically every organ in your body is reported on and your body makes recommendations on what it needs to bring it back into balance. And we use that information to put together a bespoke program that helps you to bring your body back into order. Now, a lot of us use this technology, a lot of us practitioners that are on here, we use this technology and it really helps to inform us about what's actually happening inside the body. And it provides some very, very detailed information about what's going on inside the body as a result of what's been happening outside the body. So some of the information we're going to be sharing with you today is things that we've discovered that has been occurring quite often during this current situation. So today, like I said, we're going to really combine that knowledge, that expertise, and the information that we've gleaned from our technology and our years of experience working in the natural health field to really come and empower you with the tools, the tips, and the information that you will hopefully find beneficial to really, carry you through this period and beyond. Okay, so we've got a few things we want to get through today. We've got a list of items we want to cover. We're going to give you lots of chance for questions and interaction. Just to make sure everyone knows how to interact, if you want to ask a question, you can type it in the chat. We'll be keeping an eye on the chat to make sure we kind of address most of the things that we can while we can. We're not going to get through all the questions, but this is the first one we're doing today. We're going to do another one next week. So if you don't get your question answered today, feel free to join us again next week. We're going to try and keep it regular because there's a lot of information that we're going to be sharing today. We'll be covering, obviously, the enigma, as in the corona, or the COVID. I call it the COVID-19. I call it the COVID-19. We'll be talking about the elephant in the room. Obviously, people are talking about 5G. We'll be talking a bit about 5G today. We'll be talking a little bit about the respiratory system, something that's a very, I suppose it's a very vulnerable area at the moment for a lot of people, and it's the chosen weapon or the weapon of choice for this particular virus that they're targeting, the respiratory system. So we're going to speak a little bit about that and how you can protect it and protect that most valuable asset. We'll also be talking a little bit about heavy metals and the impact of them on your health, and how this particular situation is using heavy metals as a catalyst to get access to your cells and to your body. And then we'll be providing you with some practical tools and some resources that you can use to help to, defend your body and to help you to navigate through this time and through this period and beyond. And then we'll have some time, hopefully we'll have some time for some innovations, some new innovations that we've got, some things that are coming up, and questions. hopefully get through some questions. So let's jump right in. You've heard a bit about myself. I'm going to introduce our panel, just to give them a couple minutes so they can introduce themselves. Obviously, we like to, chivalry is not dead, so we're going to start with ladies first. So, a very good friend of mine. She's a great practitioner. She's an engineer. She's involved in the natural health sphere for a number of years.
Who was talking before then? It weren't him.
Right, let's just keep, when you come on, please try and mute yourself so you can keep the flow.
Now, 2 people ain't put the cameras on, but it's a proper webinar.
That's all right. If they've not got cameras on, that's fine, because some people may be a bit shy. But I'm glad that we can see so many beautiful faces on a Sunday. This is really nice. I'm really loving this.
This is unprofessional, man. What are you worrying about being shy? You're here to talk to us on a webinar. Show your face.
Can you not see? We can see everybody. It's only the few people that aren't showing their face. That's fine if they don't want to.
Okay. She need to smile, that one on the top.
Right, I'm going to mute out all the rest, everybody else now. So please keep yourself muted so we can keep the flow. Okay, so I'm going to introduce a good friend of mine. She's a fantastic practitioner, engineer. She's got a lot of years of experience, a lot of knowledge, and she's going to be part of our panel today, sharing and disseminating some of the important information to you. Her name is Sophia Michelle. You can give a warm welcome to Sophia Michelle. Sophia, come and introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, not sure if someone was saying I should be smiling. I will smile, it's necessary to smile. I was reading something at the same time, so concentration. I guess a bit of what I'll bring to the panel today is my experience with electrical engineering. I was the Royal Mail's first Black female electromechanical technician. So lots of my background is around electrical and mechanical equipment services. And when I became ill, I've been medically retired twice by the time I turned 40, which is what got me into this, like many people, interestingly, got me into this health arena, because it was about learning about my body. And I soon started to understand that that our body being electrical was very much like many of the systems that I worked on over the years. So I'm sure that much of what I'll be sharing will be related to the 5G or the EMF aspect of what we're going to be discussing today. So yeah, really glad to be here. Thank you, Erin. And looking forward to hearing Derin. I haven't seen your face, Derin, for such a long time. Looking forward to hearing from you.
And you're looking well. You're looking younger when I saw you last, so that's a good testament.
That's the aim, right?
Get younger and stronger.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you so much. We'll be hearing a lot from you today throughout the course of this call. Dr. Mark, are you on the line with us yet? Dr. Mark, are you here yet? Okay, Dr. Mark's not here. That's fine.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Ah, I thought you were going to make your classic entrance.
Apologies. Sorry to the lady. Yeah, no, I didn't know I was involved in this. Like, I thought I'd just be watching.
Dr. Mark, now, can you mute yourself out, please? Everybody just keep themselves muted out, please, so we can have the full bandwidth to make sure we can hear from each of us. So, Dr. Mark, another fantastic practitioner, well-celebrated naturopathic doctor, who'll be joining us today to share, obviously, a lot of his expertise and knowledge. Very, very, very knowledgeable, very outspoken, very well celebrated in the natural health sphere. He will also be providing some insights. So, Dr. Mark, if you'd like to just unmute yourself and just give a quick introduction to yourself.
Greetings. Thank you, Erin, and good to see Derin. If I could just see him there, I want to greet him personally, because it's been a long time. We've made so many plans to meet, and we haven't managed to do that because we're on the battlefront. He knows what I'm doing, I know what he's doing, and in a funny way, all practitioners like ourselves that's doing it completely full time, extra time, we can feel each other in the mix as a collective, because it's only us, there's not that many of us. But I want to say greetings to all of you, and I want to start by saying condolences to those people who have lost loved ones, and who have loved ones, if they haven't lost them, they're actually struggling with this pandemic crisis. And you know, so many people, it's just going to be on our tongues for a long time that so many people have lost their lives. We've never seen anything like this since any of us has been on this planet. My mother is 83, and she said it to me. She said, Mark, I've never seen anything like this, you know, in all the years. My grandfather was 104. He probably would have seen something like this in 1918 because he was born 1901. And there was the Spanish flu, also known as the swine flu. But I want to say thank you to those people out there on the front line in the NHS and other services, that they are out there doing stuff that all of us, all different nations of people, whatever racial background you've come from, they are seen to. People's lives have been saved, and I want to say thank you to all the people who are instrumental in that workforce. Myself, I've been doing this since so long. It's 40 years plus now for me. And so, because I started at 18 years old or so, I went to India and started my journey with the Vedic side of life, which is a whole science in its own right. It took me many years, took me over 30 years to study their system, which is the Ayurvedic system. And then I came back to the UK and studied homeopathy. I became the first Jamaican homeopath, probably Caribbean as well, homeopath in the UK, in UK history. The only person that was there for myself is a guy called Joe Sinclair from St. Kitts, and I know him very well because at some point I taught him piano. I was his teacher. Joe Sinclair wrote that song for the Police called Walking on the Moon.
Okay,
He was a guy, Sinclair. So he was the only guy who studied at that time homeopathy, and there were no course.
Monica?
You weren't getting...
I was just coming out there. Okay, I'll see you in a minute.
Yeah, no one was getting grants for anything in the alternative holistic field at the time. I know this because I had to use my dole money and so forth to pay for this course. And when I finished the course, I wasn't able to collect my certificate because I owed money. And so it went to the Department of Education, and I'd done single-handedly. I was married at the time with children and had to do this struggling. And at the time, my wife studied, both were studying, and so we used our money and used that to kind of pay for books and stuff. And so that was over 40 years ago. And so I did psychotherapy.
I just WhatsApped you the from the other router, yeah.
Please keep your phones on mute, please. Please keep your phones on mute. You can hear every conversation and every noise in the background, if you don't mind. Thank you.
So you know, my journey, I ended up doing psychotherapy. I had to study psychotherapy because I realized after going to the importance of not just the physical self, but the mental body and the emotional body and so forth. So that eventually springboarded me into Harley Street, where I was practicing in Stratford, to Holland and Barrett for a long time, actually, working in the cubicle upstairs, Holland and Barrett, Stratford. And then ended up on the Rumford Road in Stratford. And from there, up in Newham College, did some work there, you know, performing arts. And then, you know, that springboarded me into Harley Street. And now especially forward, I'm in Green Lanes now. I went into becoming a registered manager, so I'm a CQC manager for a clinic with NHS practitioners. So I'm actually really happy at the moment. I've got GPs around me, I've got gynecologists, rhinologists, I've got neurologists, I've got psychiatrists, I've got beauticians, I've got dentists. It's a very big practice. We're the biggest practice in Haringey. And I will give the details for that because we also have a phlebotomist, so we take blood. And so people with underlying medical conditions at this time are very much, vulnerable. And so we offer a service where people can get their blood taken for tests that they can't get in the hospital at the moment. We that type of service, and GPs, we have a GP service that offers consultations to patients who can't get a GP, and we do it by video call. We also do call-out services. I've had one patient who the husband was bedridden.
Sorry, Dr. Mark. I'm just gonna mute you for a second. I'm gonna mute everybody out. I did set it on mute all, but it seems that people are coming in with their phones unmuted. In the meantime, as you do enter, if you wouldn't mind making sure your phone or your laptop is on mute so that it doesn't interfere, because every single background sound or noise is coming through on the call. So if you'd mind, just make sure your phones are muted. I will mute everybody out, and then you can unmute yourself again, Mark. Current participants muted, allow folks to unmute themselves. No, I'm not going to like to unmute themselves just yet. Right, so Dr. Mark, I'll unmute you. Okay, Dr. Mark, so you coming to, I'm going to bring in Dr. Derin.
Yeah, I'm coming to a close now. So I'm at Medipark Clinic, which Erin, you know quite well.
Very much so.
And so Medipark is, I think, the crown in gem, you know, the jewel in the crown for me, because I've managed to work around other medical professionals registered with the NHS, and so it gives me the opportunity to get a fusion. I can have a patient that needs an ultrasound go upstairs, and our sonographer will do the ultrasound on the spot, and I can see what's going on internally and get more information I need to help that patient. So, yeah, I was saying about the call-out service, because that's important. We have a call-out service where we had a patient who had a stroke, bedridden, and his vital signs were very low. The wife was very worried, and her daughter, 20-year-old daughter, had a brain hemorrhage and also had a stroke. And so we had to send a team out to their homes to set up drips and stuff to get them through that little crisis that they were having. So just wanted you to know that. I'll be giving out the details for Medipark Clinic. It's on the internet, so if you type in Google Medi-Park Clinic, you'll see the address and the phone number, and possibly a video that'll take you through the surgery. You can see our dentists and all of the different services we offer.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much. I know the level of expertise that we have within the house, within the panel, and Medipark Clinic is a fantastic facility, serving a lot of the Turkish community and a lot of our community based in North London. We do have a lot of patients that Dr. Mark refers to us, and vice versa. So thank you so much for that fantastic introduction, Dr. Mark. My brother from another mother, Mr. Derin Bepo. Do you need any introduction? Can we get a fanfare? Like, wow, Dr. Derin, long time no see, long time no hear. A fantastic practitioner, one of my old school mentors, still there, really supporting me in what we're doing. One of the natural health founders, foundation for natural health in the UK, and definitely had to be one of the pioneers on this call as we really carve away into, you know, the future of natural medicine that it's taking a stand in what we call Natural Health's Finest Hour. So Derin Bepo, if you'd like to unmute yourself and let the whole world know who you are. In fact, I'll do it actually. I don't think you can do it. Hang on a second, Derin. I've taken away that facility for people to mute themselves. So I'm gonna unmute you. Okay. 1 second, Derin. You've moved over to the corner.
Now, okay, we're through?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, hello, greetings, everybody. Yeah, just hi. So many, a few familiar faces here. And Erin, thank you for convening this event. It's great. And it's part of a major kind of revival in health that's going on. One thing that I'm really happy about is that a lot of people making the right choices, decisions, taking the right steps with regard to this COVID. They understand the answer. Increasing amounts of people understand the answer is not even remotely within mainstream medicine. So a lot of people have been making contact, and I'm quite impressed with people's understanding that things like vitamin C are paramount. You know, I'm also impressed, and you know, that people have done a lot of research and study over the years and understood the whole concept of prophylaxis. So prophylaxis means, the Latin root word means preventative. So people are taking really intelligent action increasingly and thinking, well, what can I do to get myself in a peak excellent condition so this won't come nigh me? So very good. So I like what I'm seeing as a massive awakening in terms of natural health. People realizing natural health is the answer. All the answers, all the keys to everything is in natural health. Yeah. So COVID has really affected all of us in many ways, but it's been quite interesting for me to actually because we've been working non-stop. So people ask me, Derin, are you still seeing people? And I say, well, does the hospital close? Does the fire close? Fire brigade close? Does the police close? Well, of course we're seeing people. This is what we're here to do. When there's a problem, we're not running away, you know. But I understand as a therapist, we often we're at risk, potential risk. So, and all therapists, please really, and I'm sure you take your whole health game to another level, and that's what I've been doing. Getting through anything from 25 to 30 grams of vitamin C a day. And so, if anyone understands what that dosage level is, so my typical is about typically 10 grams, and I might do that. You know, but I found that doing high preventive measures puts you in a really good place. So I'm seeing people, often people come in, they're styling out their cough. They're trying to pretend they don't have a cough and just muting that cough. And I've gone on the scan, 5 minutes, I can see what's going on, you know. So yeah, it's very, very important to keep yourself in excellent health. That's the therapist here, and also and anyone else who's non-therapist. It's really important to think in a prophylactic way. So I don't know, just introduction phase, yeah? So yes. Hopefully today I want to share some insights I've developed, because, you know, with the COVID, it's a rapidly changing picture. I don't know, some of you might have seen there's a YouTube video, and there's a consultant, medical consultant, high level, and he's literally crying. And he's saying, we actually don't know what we're dealing with. We actually don't know. Because initially the whole story, the narrative was, this is some kind of lung thing. It's like not too far off from the flu, like pneumonia. And they quickly found out it's not. Anyway, so yeah, it's certainly not. So I'm going to share some insights in terms of what we've been seeing and how to really fortify yourself and corona-proof yourself. The corona situation doesn't go away. It's here because they're talking about second and third wave. And people who've done a lot of deep research, it's apparent that, let's put it this way, basically everybody's had contact with the virus. Everybody has that virus in their body. But it's what you do now that will determine how that plays out within your health spectrum now, and I'd say going down right now, 10 years and beyond. Okay, so hopefully we have a great session and a lot of information we elucidate. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Derin. Fantastic, brilliant. Derin, I don't know if you've got a volume setting on your laptop that you're able to turn up. If you want to make we're hearing maximum.
Okay, so my internal speaker, so I've turned up to max. How's this?
That's better. That's better.
That's better, yeah? Okay,
that's better, yeah. We want to be able to hear you loud and proud. So, thank you very much for making sure we know, everybody knows who we are and who's on the call. Mark, if you want to unmute yourself as well, so we're going to start getting some open dialogue now. We're going to start to share. Can you unmute yourself, Dr. Mark? Are you able to unmute yourself? And yourself as well, Sophia. Okay, I may have to do it. Let me unmute you. Let me see if I can unmute you manually. Oh, there you go. Oh, let me do it again. Yep, you're unmuted. And Sophia. Can you unmute yourself, Sophia, or do I have to do it? I got to do it. Okay. Are you unmuted? Yep, there we go. Okay, guys, so we're gonna jump right in now and really start to go through. We're gonna whiz through these topics, a few areas that we want to cover today. As I said, we've got the chat part to use to type any questions. If you want to type any questions based on anything you're hearing, I'll definitely advise you to get hold of a paper and pen, because you are going to hear some interesting and maybe it's a little bit controversial information today. So grab yourself a pen and paper, because Derin's already mentioned that he does take up to 30 grams of vitamin C a day. So that's something you can take as a tip to take away. So you're going to get a lot of those type of nuggets sort of just, dropped in amongst the conversation and the dialogue as we proceed. So try and make sure you capture as much of it as you can, because we want to make sure that when you leave from this call today, you go away, fully empowered with as many tips and tools as you can glean to make sure you're fully armed for this particular period that we're in and beyond. Right, so let's jump right in. So let's talk a little bit about Corona. We're calling it demystifying Corona, the enigma. The enigma, something that people don't necessarily understand. Maybe we'll put this off to next week. I mean, Derin, I'm thinking, do we want to go into that now, or should we put it off to next week? Because we can spend a lot of time talking about what we believe Corona is. What I would say, I'll say what I don't think, what I believe it's not. I don't believe it's a virus, because we look at viruses every day. We scan people, we see the impact of viruses. And just to be a little bit, I suppose, controversial, one of the things I've discovered from the scans is that when people have any type of long-term ailment, one of the things that we've always seen, that when they've gone to the doctors, they've gone to the specialists, they've gone to their Harley Street, different specialist doctors, and they've not been able to identify what the actual underlying problem is. And they've come to us and we put them on a scan, and we've identified that there's either one of two things. It's either a bacteria that's behind a lot of the issues, or it's a virus. And when I discovered how deeply embedded viruses were in modern day sicknesses, it really shocked me and actually even scared me to realize that viruses have been behind maybe even 80 or 90% of today's modern illnesses and illnesses. To give you an example, let me put it in context first. There's no test for viruses. And there's a reason why there's no test for viruses. There's also no treatment for viruses. However, viruses are a very integral part of, I suppose, how the modern medicine or the pharmaceuticals have their business model. Why do I say that? If you look at the flu, the common flu, it's a virus, right? The flu's a virus. But there's no cure for the flu. However, and there's actually no test for the flu. However, you have a plethora of products that are all aimed around treating the flu. You have night nurse, you have things like day nurse, you have things like cold and flu, you have Beechams, you have Nurofen for the headaches. And all of these are remedies that are designed to treat the symptoms of the flu. But nothing is there to actually address the actual underlying problem, which is the flu. Now, if you were to sit down and maybe just drink water, maybe take some vitamin C for maybe 2 weeks, eventually your immune system will get on top of that virus or on top of the flu, and all the symptoms will disappear. But there's no silver bullet, or there's no medication that's been designed to actually deal with the flu, but there's a whole load of other remedial products that have been designed to help that. Now, just using the flu as an example, that's one virus that they've managed to build a whole business, a whole plethora of products, a whole industry just based around one virus. Now, if they can do that with just one virus, how many other viruses can they do that with? And there's no actual treatment for the flu. But none of those products that they've made actually address the underlying problem, which is the virus. Now, that's using the flu. Now, what I've discovered over the years is that anytime somebody comes with a respiratory illness or ailment type problem, such as hay fever, asthma, a lot of the different sarcoidosis, one of the things that we've seen over and over and over again is a virus called the adenovirus. The adenovirus, you've got a family of viruses called adenovirus, you've got adeno37, you've got adeno38, you've got a whole family of different viruses from the adenovirus family. And we found that people who've had these ailments, i.e. hay fever, asthma, long-term asthma, they always have a high level of these adenoviruses in their system. But as I said, there's no test for viruses, so there's no way they're ever going to find out that those viruses are behind the problem, but they're only ever going to treat the symptoms. You're going to get your asthma pump, you're going to get all the different remedies that are going to deal with the symptoms, but none of them are going to actually deal with the virus. So what my conclusion was that the pharmaceuticals, how they make their money is by putting out viruses. That's why there's no test for viruses. So I think every virus will maybe cost them about 4 people, it will make them about $4 billion. So this is one of the first things that I've discovered from viruses. So when it comes to things like Corona, we've seen how our viruses work. We see Corona every day. Corona is just a small-term virus. It's not even high as the flu. It's a very low-level virus. And we've seen that with viruses, most times you ever see a person get a virus, one of the first things the immune system does is that it heats the body up. And this is why you get a fever. Why do you get a fever? Because the natural body's immune response to any kind of viral attack is to heat the whole environment internally up. And that's when you get the temperature, and that's how they overcome. The body's natural defense mechanism against viruses is to use heat. So when you see a virus that's still quite prevalent in the middle of what we're in now, April, coming to the end of April, coming into May, in hot weather, it doesn't correlate. Also, this is why the flu season is normally between September and March, or October and March. So there's a lot of questions I have around the validity or the authenticity of coronavirus being an actual virus, but I'm gonna sort of give you my view. And I'm gonna throw it out to yourself, Derin, and then I'll bring in Dr. Mark, just to talk about the enigma of the coronavirus. Derin, I'll unmute you again. While I'm muting Derin, Dr. Mark.
Okay, all right, okay. These are interesting points. Okay, so we're in an age where we're going to see things we've never seen before, experience things we've never experienced before. It's the first time in history the oil price is actually minus. So it's actually cheaper for the producers of oil to give oil away. It's a massive crash in the oil price. So never happened before in history to that level. So I use that as just one point, that we're in an age we're going to see things never seen before. Now, I hear your reasonings, but let me give you my perspective on that. Okay.
Absolutely.
If you look at the whole history of viral-borne disease, whether it's Ebola, whether it's SARS, MERS, the bird flu, chikungunya, okay, these are all viruses with patents. They're all patented. Okay, these have all been made, man-made. Okay, so if you look at it, you know, Bill Gates will tell you with a smirk on his face their plans. So Bill Gates told us last year that their plan was for 30 billion to be wiped off. And he just told you in his codified but non-codified way. So they know what they've done. They know what they've created. Okay, so if we're looking to understand this virus in the context of anything that's gone before, it's not going to work like that. Okay, it won't work because it's something totally new. So what is the full name of the virus? What's the full name of the virus? It's coronavirus novel. They use the word novel. I think people drop the word novel, but they say it's new. So what they've done, they've built on their knowledge and feedback and study of the impacts of all the previous man-made viruses, and said, this is where we went wrong, this is where we didn't meet our targets. So this one, we're going to super stealth this one. We're going to do things with this virus based on this knowledge we've got that that's never been done before. So we're seeing a viral entity that's never been seen before. There's nothing like it. So we understand that there's a coronavirus family. It's been around for a long time. So this is a major variant from that family. Now, I'll tell you one interesting thing about this and why it's so dangerous and why we have to be very, very vigilant and get into a very, very strong sense of prophylactic type behavior just from now and going forward forever, okay, as long as we're on this planet. Because what they've done, they've taken a virus, a deadly virus, and they've built in stealth capabilities into that virus. So that virus, say, it might not be fully detectable. It doesn't behave the same way necessarily in any two people, okay? And it's almost like the virus, when it enters the body, it goes on a seek and destroy mission. So it's almost like it's going to find your weak spots and your weak points and start to think. So a lot of the new research, and I think even a document you shared with me, that document's a fantastic document, whereby they're finding severe heart damage. There's a lot of the new information. I'm talking information that's maybe days or just weeks old, because we're now getting through the first autopsy reports. So finding this virus is causing, everyone's looking at the lungs, but it's causing liver damage, it's causing kidney damage, and it's also causing like brain damage. So it's an entity gets in the body and starts to literally unplug all the wiring of the body right at the DNA level. That's what that's viruses, they work at DNA level and start to create a problem. They replicate and they send out clones of themselves. And basically imagine it, you've got a complex system, they're going to literally pulling the plugs out, how the DNA is working. Now, one of the things they've done with this virus, they actually inserted gene code for HIV in the virus. Okay, so you can actually, this was actually uncovered by an Indian laboratory. Now, Indian laboratory viral, they're very, very, very good. They use something called spectron micrograph machines, where you can actually take the virus and break it all down. That's how they uncovered what they were doing in Kenya, I think last year or year before. And they found an organization, NGO, was promoting vaccinations in Kenya. And someone can have this vaccine taken to India and tested. And what they found in the virus, they found elements in the virus that would cause Kenyan women to spontaneously abort going forward for 10 years. This is actually real. If you deep search Google, you're going to find this story. So this was inserted into a vaccine program. So they're very, very, very advanced in bioengineering. So, like I said, they've inserted a gene code from HIV into the virus. And this was quickly picked up by a research lab in India. And they literally got, I don't know, they put it on Twitter and they were quickly slapped down, and that they had to withdraw that finding. But it's out. That's what they've done. So this is something. It's not like anything else we've seen before, and how it's working, how the body responds to it, and you know how doctors treat it. There is nothing really in at all. Like you said, points out, you said they can't cure the flu, but they can't even cure the cold. There is no cure for the cold. So how are they going to cure any serious viral problem? They can't cure it. Okay. So what we understand, especially people into natural health, we understand fortify, strengthen immune system. The body's got a very, very powerful internal military system that can take down any external invaders called the immune system. But if you look at it, what's been happening, I'm trying to do a timeline. I'm going to try and do a timeline going back 70 years. And we look at various things that have been introduced into humanity. Let's look at chlorinated water. Let's look at increasing industrial effluents. We've got things like dioxin, which was banned 30 years ago. It's still showing up in people's bodies. Let's look at organophosphates. Look at pesticides. Look at glycophosphate, which is Monsanto's gift to the world. So I think I can do a timeline going back at least 70 years. And I think, this is my rough guess, when I start doing it properly, I might find this to be true or not true. But I think every single decade, there's been something new biochemically introduced into humanity. Let's look at chemtrails that suddenly came out from nowhere, maybe a decade ago. So there's been a phased biological attack on mankind and a takedown. And if you look at all these contaminants, you know, the dioxins, the phthalates, all of them, they increase what's called the body burden, or the load the body's having to face. And ultimately, all of these toxins we increasingly find ourselves exposed to, they bioaccumulate, and they bioaccumulate if you're not detoxing, if you've got a weak liver. So basically, most of humanity has been set up with a very, very profoundly weak immune system. And we won't go into aspects of how stress, worry, fear, financial problems, lack of sleep impacts immune system. So we've got a generation now with probably the weakest immune system in the whole history of mankind. That's the average person who's not taking care of themselves. So now, then they bring the strongest element ever released against mankind, and what you have, you see. So this is something to really understand the dynamics, what's going on. And when we look at it in the most kind of really realistic way, this is a phased takedown of humanity. So if we don't know by now, there's a major attack against humanity. They told you, they've hidden it and coded it in the films. It's called predictive program, where they tell you what they're doing and what they're going to do. So if we don't understand that by now, then we really don't understand anything. So we're facing a new enemy in this, but like I said, I must stress and emphasize, when I make this statement, everybody's got that virus now. Everyone's got it in their body. But okay, don't worry too much about that. But it's what do you do now? What do you give up? What do you stop doing now? What they're finding increased levels now of the corona deaths amongst our people. And what's one of the main health problems that we have as black people is diabetes, elevated blood sugar. Okay, so elevated blood sugar, high blood sugar levels literally can trash the immune system, put the immune system in a very weakened position. So are you seeing these links here? So it's really, really important. Everyone sets goals to be in the best health ever. Give up certain things that are minimizing and undermining your health, particularly immune system functionalities, and which is radiation. We won't go into radiation now, but I think in discussion we're going to look deeply at radiation, and I think it's time people are really starting to think more about radiation. I remember I did something on Galaxy. That was about 4 or 5 years ago, and the amount of negative resistance I got was like that people really want to believe. But people start to wake up now realizing it can't be good. There is an impact, or there's a price to pay for the high radiation we're exposed to. Yeah, take one.
Thank you very much for that, Derin. And I'm going to bring in Dr. Mark, but you mentioned on something very interesting in relation to radiation, and that kind of brings us into our next topic that I'm going to kind of leave with Dr. Mark on. You're talking about, everyone's asking a question about 5G and the link between 5G, and it's very interesting to make that, and it's easy, and I suppose, to make that correlation between the link between 5G and the number of deaths. And somebody asked in the chat, if it's not a virus, what is actually killing people? Why are so many people dying? Because obviously we know that viruses don't operate in that way, and it's a combination of a lot of different factors, and there's no one silver bullet or one single approach that you can have towards trying to protect yourself from it. However, when you have so many things bearing down on your body, on your immune system at the same time, depending on the state of your immune system, that's going to determine your level of ability to withstand what's coming in and what your level of survival rates will be. Now, 5G is just going to be one of those catalysts, but let's just look at the elephant in the room for a bit, because everyone's really, talking about radiation and 5G. And 5G, as I said, it's just one of those many factors that are impacting the body's ability to defend itself. Radiation, heavy metals, more of which we're going to go into a little bit more. But just taking up on the radiation element you mentioned there, and everyone's asking about, is it 5G towers that's causing people to die so much? Yes, one part of it, but let's address what we call the elephant in the room. In the natural health field, we call this the elephant in the room. Everyone's talking about 5G, but before we start going into 5G, have we addressed 4G or even 3G or 2G? Because we're looking at what's happening outside. We're looking at the towers, and we're looking at all the information that's been perpetrated on by the scientific community, which is all true and it's all factual. And we're going to go into a whole lot of information about 5G. But let's not go ahead of ourselves. Let's take it back a step, and let's look at the problem that we're having now. We haven't dealt with. We haven't dealt with 4G. We've still got Wi-Fi routers in the house. Some of us in our bedrooms. We've still got a lot of 4G. Interference and electromagnetic frequencies that are impacting our health now, before we even get into 5G. So, Dr. Mark, I'm going to bring you on just to kind of, just give us your view on the impact of 4G, before we even get onto 5G. Just so we can see on what the state of play regarding the elephant in the room is from where you stand.
Okay, thank you. I mean, before I do that, I want to link what Derin was saying regarding viruses, and really the overview subject is really microorganisms, because I think through the years let me go back to antiquity. Let's go back to our ancestors. Let's go back to the shaman and the healers of the world. And so before we had any health service, before we were able to coordinate all the things that help humanity and call it a service, we had shaman, we had healers, we had those type of indigenous type of practices. And to be honest with you, microorganisms have always been with us. And in fact, if you do research far back enough, microorganisms were here before us. So we see like some of the first organisms that ever existed was in water. You know, the first form of life, you know, it was found in water. And even if it's not true, these were microorganisms. And what we've forgotten is that among microorganisms are not just viruses and bacteria, but there are parasites as well. And so just only not too long ago with Dr. Royal Rife, he started to do research on microorganisms in general, and he was the inventor of the microscope. And that's why he invented it, because he realized that we had these fellows that was antagonizing health, but we couldn't see them. So this is a really long time back. Dr. Royal Rife was one of the leading doctors, and the health service at the time took his sciences up and said they would run that for humanity. But then, because he refused to give them, they actually debunked his science and also ridiculed him. But my point is to say that our ancestors had a way of living with the microorganisms. The idea was, the word is symbiosis. You see, there was a way that we live in harmony, that we followed the order of nature. And then these microorganisms would actually work in order with us. And so actually, if you look back in history, we would have an infection in a family in Africa. And once that family is infected with that, that infection, they would call other families to come and make sure they get those infections. Because it was well known to us back then that we work in order with even with microorganisms. Now, what's happened since then is the intervention of modern science. So then the organic way of dealing with organisms that we were also back then working in a friendly way with now became disorderly. So with the intervention of new sciences, when people like Louis Pasteur and Bouchamp over in France came up with ways that they started to illustrate that most, if not all, diseases were caused by these microorganisms. And they went off to start to treat people by killing these microorganisms. And so we came up with Fleming coming up with the first antibiotic. But to push forward, till then and now, we're 2020, and there are no real antivirals. A scare came a few years, maybe 10 years ago, with the H5N1 flu. It was a flu epidemic, and they came up with an antiviral called Tamiflu. That was possibly one of the only first antivirals that came up, and it was questionable whether it worked and whether it was a true antiviral. There are no antivirals, and that's why people still die from pneumonia. We can only boost the immune system, we can only give that person oxygen, and that's why they speak so much about ventilators, because you can't do anything about the virus. It's constantly transmuting. And what's happened with new technology and the influx of men, powerful leaders and governmental leaders investing in microorganisms and using them as warfare, using them for warfare. So what's happened is the microorganisms have evolved. They're not behaving as they would with the help of people like Monsanto. Microorganisms have changed and become superbugs. And because they're now superbugs, it gives these industries the opportunity to come up with super drugs to treat these super bugs. So they're part of the problem because they enhance what was actually normal and organic. If we take, for example, probiotics, it took them so long to admit that we have microorganisms in us that if we don't have them in the right amount, we actually get diseases like cancer. Many of the diseases as a result of deficiency of microorganisms inside us. We need them. And to be honest with you, one of my futuristic plunging forward into future medicine is to use microorganisms like we use probiotics, is to use microorganisms and find a way to use viruses as well. Now, I mean, Derin particularly might be interested in this, is that I found that there were some viruses, some microorganisms, bacteria that live on metal. They actually live on metal. And they're literally impossible to kill. But if we could harness them and get them in a biotic way, that's, that can work within us, then those type of aggressive and, bacteria would work for us in a friendly way. That would be the future medicine. And with the scare of COVID-19, in fact, it's not a scare, it's a killer. We will now, from now onwards into the future, the focus on medicine will be on boosting the immune system. Now, with vitamin C and things like echinacea, things like astragalus. Astragalus is probably one of the most powerful immune boosters on the planet. It's a herb. Astragalus is definitely among one of the top ones. Vitamin C, I think, ranks higher than all, because we see animals in nature, when they become affected by any type of microorganisms, they go for plants and stuff that are high in vitamin C, and they eat as much as 10 or 20 times more than they normally would. So we take a page from nature and we boost ourselves with vitamin C and echinacea and stuff like that. But I want to add that when we use vitamin C, all these herbs and stuff to so-called protect ourselves, immunize ourselves, or so forth, it shouldn't be said that we're fighting a virus with it. We're not fighting a virus with any of the things we're using, because if you want, we can do that. But in a lab, we would have to find the particular herb that can kill a particular virus. Otherwise, what you do then is boost the immune system. And so I bring you to the vitamin C guru, whose name is Dr. Linus Pauling, who's a biochemist in America. And what he did was he proved that you don't have to look for the disease killer, the antagonist killer. You just go for boosting your immune system, because your immune system is made by the Most High. And he has supplied to you all the necessary devices, equipments, and biochemicals to, in that warehouse, provide your body with whatever chemical and so forth that you need. Like Brother Derin mentioned, Brother Aaron mentioned how your body warms up and we produce a fever, and that is an attempt to evict the virus or bacteria. But my point is, the attempt shouldn't be to kill the virus, because then you have to look for a specific, and that could take you, God knows. But if you attend to boosting the immune system, then you're not just taking on COVID-19. You're taking on any type of disease. And that's why Dr. Linus Pauling opened an institute for vitamin C and treated every single disease with vitamin C. What did he say? He says, once you boost the immune system has all the facilities to take on whatever the antagonist that comes into the body. So I think we need to look at viruses and microorganisms that they've been enhanced, and because they've been enhanced, they're not behaving as they would in nature, and the word is in order and harmony, symbiotically, equilibrium with us and everything around us. It's been enhanced and it's out of sync, and hence out of order. And so these are superbugs, and we have to have super ways of dealing with them.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mark. I like that. Yes, we are in the era of obviously responding very aggressively to the changes that our body is being subject to, both externally and internally. So yes, as the environment starts to produce more aggressive bugs and bacteria and pathogens and viruses, be it from nature or from the laboratory, our body also has to respond quite aggressively to be able to contend and to reverse these or address these in their own natural environment within the body, within the cell, through the immune system. So we'll have to constantly educate ourselves and readjust our understanding of our immune system and our body, so we can make sure we've got the right tools and information to apply those tools to the greatest effect. So thank you very much for that, Mark. It's a very good analogy of us becoming, getting back to harmony with nature, because everything was designed to work in order. So once you get into that state of disorder, that's when you can start to go into things like disease and other problems. So very, 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 very good breakdown of that. So Sophia Michelle, let's keep in terms of keeping things moving, because obviously we want to spend a little bit of time on demystifying the enigma of corona. And we've had three, fairly maybe even conflicting perspectives on it, which is good because it gives people more information, gives people more ammunition per se, than just using the narrative that's been presented to you by mainstream media. And we want people to have critical thinking. We want people to have the right information in order to come and arrive at the right decisions based on what you're seeing and what's being presented to you, rather than just absorbing what you've been told without having any means of veto to question it. So this has been very good in at least helping to inform that process. So let's move on to the next topic, which is as I said, the elephant in the room, looking at the 4G. Now, as we said, 5G, everyone's up in arms about 5G, and they're writing letters and they're doing petitions, etc., and trying to get governments to look at slowing down the rollout of 5G. What I would say, we are going to cover this more next week, but what I would say is that 5G is just a stepping stone in the bigger scheme of things, because after 5G, you're going to get 7G. After 7G, we're going to get 10G.
Yeah.
We're already on 7G. 5G is coming in. So, we need to start not getting so over emotional about 5G and start, addressing the problems a little bit closer to home, because we haven't actually addressed the 4G problem. And if you haven't addressed the 4G problem, it then becomes the 5G problem and the 7G problem. Whatever it's going to become, if we don't address it, it's going to overwhelm us, and it's going to address us. So we need to be more proactive in our approach to dealing with these external frequencies that are coming into our body and impacting our bodies and ourselves, more importantly, adversely. But we want to make sure we start at the right place. Let's not go ahead of ourselves and start jumping into 5G when we haven't dealt with 4G. Sophia, I know you had some extensive experience with with these electromagnetic frequencies, because I think that was part of the reason why you're medically retired. So if you open up with just giving us your insight on the impact and the effects of 4G before we move into the whole 5G debate.
Yeah, I guess following from what you just said, Derin was talking about 4 or 5 years ago doing a talk, and Derin speaks about the effects of EMFs on the body all the time. And he came up against all this opposition because we want to do things the way we want to do things. We want things to be as convenient as they can be. We want to be able to just have our phones and our laptops. And so it's a massive challenge. It's a massive challenge to have anyone trying to change the way they do things, making things a little bit more awkward. And that's it's a huge thing. For all of us, we will come up against challenges with people. Unless they're extremely ill, they're not willing to make the health changes, the food changes, and the so on and the so on. Mm-hmm. When we're dealing with EMFs, it's exactly the same. I had this hidden blessing because I call it now, because I haven't got the pain of feeling like a sword being run through my left eye, through the left side of my head, through the top of half of my body consistently for years with no letter. So when you have something like that, you're willing to make changes, because if I came and stabbed you in the eye right now, Erin, trust me, you'd be willing to do whatever's necessary to stop that pain.
Absolutely.
Most people can't feel EMFs. Some of us can, but most people can't. So to try to say, what are the ways that we can change our habits? Because that's what it comes down to. It's how are we doing things that we can shift the way we do it, that can reduce that impact. I'm going to share a little video. Hopefully I don't know if you can let me share the screen in a minute to just show a little video.
Okay,
but I'll just talk about the fact that before 5G, there were, I think it was something like 230 scientists from internationally that were presenting to the UN, to EU, about the dangers of these EMFs. And please to check them out because of the health effects. they've been ignored. So all of the bodies that would be governing our safety around EMFs, they've ignored all of the research. This document that, and I'll send it to, I'm not sure if Derin and Mark, if you've seen this, it talks about the 8 great risks to your health, from our cardiovascular health to the hormonal system to all of the 34 independently reviewed things that show that EMFs cause cancer. All of these different things, but they're completely ignored by the scientists, by those that are setting the laws. So, for example, one of the safety things that say, if you go to any of Public Health England or wherever, it will say, mobile phones are not a danger. But the testing that was done for a limited time, usually no more than 6 minutes. And who regulates anybody to make sure they've not got a phone by their head for more than 6 minutes? Whose children are not putting their phone by their head for 6 minutes?
You can share your screen. I've made it so you can.
All right, I'll do. Okay, fantastic. I'll do that in a minute. So there are proven. It is not conspiracy. So if we want to take the 5G out of it, we can, if it makes it a bit easier. But this was talking about 3G and 4G. All of these proven effects on the body are already there. To the exponentially 2, 3, 4, 5 times, we're going millions of times more radiation. And the body just doesn't know how to deal with that. When there was a test done in Switzerland with, and most of you would have seen 300 birds dropped out of the sky around the towers when they did this test when 5G went up, because they were not able to absorb oxygen. And so the challenge from our perspective is all of the things that we're speaking about in terms of boosting the immune system don't work if you've got no oxygen. You put a bag over my head and my immune system can be fantastic. I'm still not going to be able to breathe. So it's a real serious thing where we shift from all of the dangers that we already know that take a long time. So with my family, when I became disabled, they had to make changes. They had to have wired internet instead of Wi-Fi. They had to do certain things differently because I was dying, you know. But for most people, it happens so slowly. One of the predicted dangers of 5G is around how it amplifies the effect of the 4 causes of blindness. Who's going to connect any of that with when people have increased cataracts and increased glaucoma and detached retina? I'm at a very extreme high risk of detached retina. So when I read that in studies, that just the fact that this new technology is going up increases my risk, no matter what I do, is a problem. And I say no matter what I do, because obviously there are also ways of protecting ourselves against EMFs as well. So I just wanted to share, if I can let me find this video real quick. This is something that I really do thank Derin for, because this was probably, I don't know, 8 years ago, maybe longer, that he told me how to wire my house, to not have to rewire everything, but that I could have no Wi-Fi in the house. So let me see if I can share it real quick. See.
You're gonna share it. You got the share screen facility, yeah? You able to share screen?
Is it shared now? Can you see?
Not yet. Not yet. Let's have a look. Yep.
All right. I think so.
That's good on there.
Yes.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
That's good.
Brilliant.
Go back a little.
So this is about not using Wi-Fi, right? And using Wi-Fi, but another system of Wi-Fi. Sophia? Sophia, you there? Let's go. Sophia?
Can you hear the audio?
No, we can't hear the audio.
Okay. So it's just basically showing that by plugging a few plugs in, one near to your router and one anywhere in the house that you want it uses the electrical wires that are already in your house to make those, make that Ethernet connection. So you don't need to have a massive system, you know, refitted. It's literally a kit that you can buy, and you plug it in, and then you can just switch off. I can show a quick video of how you switch off your Wi-Fi at home. It's one of the reasons that I realized that 5G was switched on in my home. So I shouldn't have any Wi-Fi. I've not had Wi-Fi in the house for a long time. But one of my younger daughters came in, and she was out at somebody else's house, and Wi-Fi was still switched on. And she said, "Oh, Mum, the Wi-Fi's working." And I said, "Well, it can't be because we don't have Wi-Fi." So I went in the back end of the broadband, and 2.4 gigahertz was switched off as normal, but 5 gigahertz was switched on, which is obviously 5G. I didn't know when that happened. I don't know how long I had Wi-Fi. It might have been about 8 weeks, because I'd noticed that I had increased sensation through the left side of my body. But most people, without you realizing, if you didn't have Wi-Fi switched on, or if you have a normal 2.4, it will have been switched over to 5G. And that's something that you can check. You can check in the back end of your broadband settings. I will do a short video and share it with Erin, so you can just see how to check that. But most people's has been switched on to 5G already.
So what you're saying now, Sophia, is that people are looking outside at the towers being put up, but they're not recognizing or realizing that the 5G in their house has already been switched on and turned on automatically without their knowledge.
Automatically.
Interesting. Wait, go ahead.
You know, and it is literally back to what Derin was talking about. Yes, we should be concerned about those things, and yes, we should be writing to our counsellors. And as well, I have template letters that I'm going to again give to you, Erin, so that people can, if they want to do something, that there's some very practical things that you can be doing, that you should be doing. But what are you going to do about the habits that are that make this stuff possible? If we didn't want things to be so convenient, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. If, you know, I've had people saying, well, you know, I don't like my internet being this slow. And I'm saying, compared to what? I remember dial-up. I mean, in comparison to what? You know, or one of my daughters said to me, "Oh, you know, this is long," and I was like, "Well, you're not going to walk into the library. You know, we didn't have a computer that we could connect to." So it's all comparative. But if we don't pause and say, "Okay, so really, where are we? What are the habits that?" And it is very real that these things are not like a long-term danger to our health now. This is just like, you know, if I go into and I hope that we will talk about the vaccine at some point before we wrap up. This is a real imminent danger. But if we're not willing to change any of our habits, the very things that are driving this, that allow people to say, they will literally fight for this. They will fight for 5G. They will fight for increased speed. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but things have started to slow down a bit. And I remember saying to people, you know, they're going to slow things down. They're going to make it a bit more awkward so that people want the 5G. If we're wired, if we use a wired connection, it kind of changes that, because it's a better connection anyway than if it's via the air. So Derin, did you need to say something? Because I noticed you're muted. Can you unmute him?
Yes, I'm muted.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually more secure as well. A LAN connection is so much more secure. That's why no corporate runs their business on Wi-Fi. All corporates won't on LAN. You know, it's much more efficient, and it's so easy to set up.
So easy.
Thank you so much for that, Sophia. Very, very important point. Very, very powerful nuggets there again shared. So just to summarize, people are maybe unaware that Wi-Fi is actually being beamed into your house through your Wi-Fi system, through your broadband system already. It's funny because we checked our broadband after you mentioned it to me a few weeks ago. Now, I checked our broadband. I've got two. Our broadband is so terrible in our office that we actually had to have two separate broadbands, one for the front and one for the reception area. And when I checked the one at the back, it said it was broadcasting on 5G. I was like, how is it possible? Because we don't have fiber optics in the area. It said 5G, but when I checked it a couple of days later, it said obviously it had gone back to 2.4. But it was just interesting to see that they switched it over without our knowledge. So look at why
And you
some
know,
people
it's
are dining.
usually if you're going to upgrade, you normally have to pay something extra, right?
Yes.
No extra money. No extra money required.
No, so I was trying to work out how come people dine in their houses, but obviously it's probably one of the contributing factors. So 5G has been switched on, you know, without our knowledge. So obviously you want to check that, and we will try and find some information to share with you on how you can do that. Also, you also mentioned that there is another solution that people can use. You shared the Devolo video that they can actually de-Wi-Fi their property or your wherever your living space is by using a plug-in system that allows you to use your Ethernet and plug it in to your normal wall socket and let your Wi-Fi or your internet run via a wire system that doesn't have all the radiation.
Yeah. And there's lots of, it doesn't have to be Devolo, there's lots and lots of models, you know, all of them work similarly. Why I think that's an important thing for people to make the jump is it makes you change a habit. And that's important. It's an important thing that we shift the way we're thinking. If we want to do things the same way we always have, then we get stuck because this is what these powers that be are using against us. You know, we don't want to drink any more water, but if we can change a habit, then we put ourselves in a better position. So that's why I like the idea. I'm not saying it's the answer to everything, but it's a habit shift. It's a thinking. It means I've got to be deliberate about when I want to have internet on. It's not just on all the time. Similarly with your mobile phones. Why does your data always need to be on? And it's attached to the body. We already know it's not questionable whether these electromagnetic frequencies cause cancer in the body and change the way the DNA functions. We know this, it's scientifically proven. But we have this habit because we want it to be convenient. We need to have our phone. But if we can get into a habit of just having the data off, unless you need to check something, these are habits that not only for us, but that our children, that we can start implementing with them. The thinking is that, I think the thinking and wanting to do things a bit differently may be the thing that helps us to not so easily accept everything that's so quick and easy.
Brilliant, Sophia. Thank you so much for that. Now, before we wrap up this section, I'm just going to deal with some of the questions and some of the things that come up in the chat. And thank you guys for making use of the chat, because we do want to encourage you to, you know, post your questions in the chat. So we're going to spend about 5 minutes just dealing with some of the queries that have been raised and some of the issues that have been highlighted. One of them is Sophia. They're asking you to share the link for video. Also, if you can share the link for the Devolo solution that you shared from that video. People have also mentioned that there is one in Curry's, that Curry's do a similar system. Well, if you can share that link, people will be most grateful, because we do want you guys to go away from today empowered, you know, uplifted and inspired, and also more importantly, taking away some practical tools that you can use and apply in your personal lives. Somebody was also asking about the neighbors. Yes, it'd be good, because obviously this is a great opportunity, because people are spending so much time in their house and, you know, in their neighborhood, you know, because of the lockdown. It'd be a good opportunity for you to start sharing some of these tips and tools with your neighbors, because whatever they're doing next door is affecting you. So, you know, if you want to, you know, if you get your system, rather than you having the system, and I say, I've got mine, I'm okay, but you still got radiation coming in from your left neighbor and your right neighbor, it'd be a good opportunity if you knock on the door and say, look, I've been using this to help protect myself and my family. Would you like to have the information, or here's the information for you so you can utilize it, or even doing a leaflet that you can go and, you know, use it to develop down your, to distribute down your street. Because at the moment, all of us all of us are the enemy at the moment. All of us are the prey for this Hunger Games that's going on at the moment. So they don't really care. I mean, if you look at it on a more global perspective, if you know about anything called the Agenda 21, this is a UN agenda. It's a UN initiative for what they call these sustainable cities, or these sustainable development goals that they want to achieve by 2030. And one of the things that's most alarming about these sustainable development goals that the UN have put together for 2030 is that although it's got this pretty wording and very nice terminology, what they're actually saying is that we're going to have these, they're going to eradicate poverty. They're going to have these 500 smart cities, because they're going to encourage all the people in the rural areas to come in to live in these cities that are going to be, you know, well-resourced with all the resources and amenities that you need. However, these cities are only designed to have 1 million people each in these cities. Now, that means the population of the world is only going to be, according to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals Agenda 2130, what they want to achieve by 2030, this new world is only going to have 500 million people, i.e. 500 cities, smart cities, with 1 million people in each city. The maximum they'll go to is maybe 1 billion. But at the moment, the world consists of just under 7 billion people. So my concern is, if this is your agenda, this is your social sustainable development goals that you want to achieve by 2030, where you're going to have 500 smart cities around the world and they're developing them at a rapid rate, what's going to happen to the other 6.5 billion people? Clearly, they need to get rid of us, because obviously they need to eliminate us. And they've been doing a very good job at doing it and pursuing their agenda very aggressively. So if you look up Agenda 2130, you'll see a very clear directive, and they've got a lot of countries and heads of these countries signed up to this new world agenda. You'll see it's very clear, it's very open, they're not hiding it, that this is what they're doing. You've got people like, you know, Mr. Gates of Hell, who's, you know, very aggressively advocating for this agenda. And he said, you know, he openly said it on the TED Talk, if we can use, you know, medication, vaccinations, we can at least reduce it by at least 15%. So they've got a very clear agenda to reduce the population. So they're using all these tools, all these resources, all these opportunities to accelerate their agenda to reduce the population by 6.4. Basically, they want to reduce the population by 95%. So all these, the 5G, the 4G, the 6G, the 7G, spraying of the chemtrails, these are all designed, as Derin said, to downgrade the immune system so that the body becomes rendered defenseless, so that when they finish you off with the vaccinations, there'll be hardly anybody left. So their objective at the moment is to make sure that they take out the elderly first, and then the weak, and then after that, it's going to be the people that are on long-term medication, people that are on, you know, diabetic drugs, high blood pressure medication. These are the people that are next. So if we're going to maintain our habits, as Sophia was saying, if we don't want to change our habits and our lifestyles, we have to really look at and start seriously considering how we're going to survive through this genocide. Let's call it what it really is. So some that you're receiving today are just some of the, you know, the key tips and tools that you can use to start, you know, bringing down or increasing your chances of survival even beyond 2020, even beyond 2020. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying let's not look at 5G. Of course, let's look at 5G, but let's put it in. Let's prioritize things accordingly. There are things that are already destroying you and destroying us that are a little bit closer to home that we need to address, and then we can also address 5G, because we've now got a system that we can use that's effective and actually working. So just to cover some of the other questions that were coming up in the chat.
I think a few people are asking about, and I just wanted to, we're talking about boosting the immune system, which is obviously, that's our line of defense. I think without us telling people what to do, because people do need to think and make their own decisions, but it is really important for people to understand that there's a virologist, a doctor called Judy Mitovits. If you look her up on Google, she will have been debunked, and you know, and everything about what she says is apparently not useful. But one of the reasons why it's useful to listen to her is because she's the person responsible for culturing the Ebola Zaire virus and making it so that it could infect humans, because it couldn't do that before she did that. So she spent all these years, you know, she spent months, day in, day out, trying to make this Ebola virus able to infect humans. And then when she did, she realized, oh my goodness, what am I doing? She thought it was for a good purpose. Obviously, later she realized they were using it for nefarious purposes. But this same virologist was talking about how the coronavirus, like Erin talked about earlier, very basic virus, you know, nothing that any of us, when we see it in a scan, were particularly concerned with. But they've they've cultured it into different animal tissues. This one, I think it's kidney monkey virus. They've cultured it with coronavirus and others. And one of the things that was interesting about her discussion was they talk about engineering vaccines and engineering things, but she said it doesn't work that way. We never know. When I add another cell and another virus with something, we never know in a lab what's going to happen. That's why it's so dangerous. So then she started to talk about the fact that this coronavirus has been in the flu vaccines for the last 4 to 5 years. So anybody that's had those flu vaccines, and we know how many people have, that their increased risk of being impacted by this corona massively increased. And loads of, I mean, I don't know how many people that we know that have a flu vaccine, not just once, but yearly. So they're reducing their capacity. And then our health minister announces on Tuesday that they have 2 vaccines to trial. And they human trials. And he categorically says, but he precurses it by saying it's harmless. Harmless chimpanzee virus. And nobody, and I've watched on social media that people, the word they picked up was harmless. They didn't notice it said chimpanzee or virus, or that they were mixing it with the coronavirus, or that, bear in mind, we've been on lockdown for as long as we have, with the idea that healthy people can transmit things through the air or by touch. And Judy Mikovits also stated that it doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. It does need to be injected. But she said, but the problem is that people have been being injected for years. So they're already, like Derin said, we're already exposed to this virus in one way or another. But then the vaccine, they specifically say it's got chimpanzee virus, which means there's been cultured in that tissue. But if people are not even aware that this is a danger, but, you know, I don't know how many people you guys have spoken to, but I've spoken to so many people that are terrified and are literally waiting for this vaccine to come out. No idea about the fact that, you know, I spoke to this elderly lady. She said she thought a vaccine was a medicine that helps you get better. That's all they understand. So we can't assume that people know really what's going on, that they understand even what a vaccine would mean, because they're going to opt for it. And opting for it, obviously, we know is going to reduce their immune function, but we don't know how much. I mean, obviously, it's one of the strategies. So I'd like to hear you guys' opinion on that as well, because it's a big one. And it's already here. That started trialing on Thursday.
This is why we've got so many areas to cover. It's so important that you highlighted that, Sophia. So thank you so much for doing that, and doing it so eloquently. It's really important that we recognise what is actually being proposed as a solution is not really a solution. It's just allowing people to be made aware of what we're heading headlong into based on the fear, which is what they've done to really fearmonger us into this, accepting whatever they give us. So just to move on, because conscious of time, we're going to just start to move into ways that we can protect ourselves alongside the immune system. Because obviously the key factor is obviously how can we immunize ourselves and protect ourselves without having to rely on their interventions that are going to be only furthering their agenda. It's going to make us weaker, because when they actually inject with the vaccine, it's going to help the same elements that they're using to speed up the levels of immunity breakdown. Is when they actually inject you with the properties, the aluminium, the chemicals, the mercury in these vaccinations, your immune system is going to be more vulnerable, because what they've realized over the years is that the immune system is so strong. It is so robust. They've been working on for about the last 20 years to try and break it down bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit, so they can get you to such a state where the body's so weak, it will eventually just topple over. but it's not an easy process because the immune system has the ability to adapt to any type of situation, any type of environment, to continually keep weakening it. So they're using food, they use toxins in our food, they use toxins in our water, they're using medication, they're spraying heavy metals into the air. They've set up a body called the Codus Alimentarius. The Codus Alimentarius is a body that was designed to make sure that all the nutritional elements in food are being removed from the food. They're sure that anybody producing any kind of high levels of concentrations of vitamin C, like Derin was mentioning earlier, these things are either outlawed or banned. They've set up a new category and they call them pseudo pharmaceuticals, and it tries to outlaw them from being made available to people. Anything that has high hyaluronic acid in it, things that are just good for you, they've set up a body called the Codus Alimentarius to make sure that these properties are reduced, to make sure that people can't access these high-level vitamins and minerals to ensure or to strengthen their immune system. So their agenda is to make sure they weaken the immune system bit by bit so they can downgrade our body's ability to defend itself, so that when they come in with whatever they're going to come in with, we have literally zero to no defense, minimal to no defense. And this is what their game is. So we have to make sure that we're ahead of the game and make sure that where they're trying to downgrade our immune system, we're doing everything we need to do to build it up. So that kind of moves us into our next step on this process, because the area that is most vulnerable once the oxygen is depleted from the cells is the lungs, because the lungs, the respiratory system, is responsible for bringing oxygen into the body. And one of the key elements of this pandemic is that this particular situation it affects the respiratory system, it affects the lungs. So our next topic, our next question is, how do we protect our most valuable asset in this particular climate, which is our respiratory system, our lungs? Now, we've been working quite extensively with a lot of products and patients to almost not experiment, but to be really trialing and working with natural plant-based materials that have got a proven capability to address the lungs. And we've found that we've been looking for many years on how we can actually get medicine into the lungs, but it's very hard to get medicine into the lungs and deep inside the lungs, because we go through the blood, that's one way, but it may get destroyed in the stomach. We've been looking at ways that we can find to get medicine, especially botanical and plant-based natural medicine, into the lungs to make sure it actually impacts the respiratory system where it's most needed. And we found a formula, a fantastic formula that's made up of mainly essential oils, that we found that we're able to use it very effectively and very extensively to really stave off any kind of bacterial or viral attack on the lungs. And I remember Dr. Mark had a patient that he was working with who was, Dr. Mark, in fact, if you can share about that patient that you had, who had the lung.
Yeah, I think it's a patient, it's my worst patient with respiratory disorder. She had a condition called idiopathic fibrosis of the lungs. And basically the lungs gets harder and fibrous tissue and scarring, and they concluded that she would need a double lung transplant. And so my attempt was to save her from having that procedure. She had got to the point where she made her mind up. So she came for one consultation with her husband. She said, I've made my mind up that I'm going to have it. And the consultants told her that there's a good chance that she won't come through the operation. She said she wanted me to know that was one. And two, even if she did come through it, that there's a good chance that her body would also react the pair of lungs that they would have transplanted. And so she was in the middle of that dilemma. I then I spoke to a number of supporters, Dr. Baines and so forth, who unlocked a lot of information from her regarding the background noise that was, in her case. And she had gone through a long series of disappointments and stuff, ended up in Italy, family dispersed and with the wrong people, wrong time. And her life was in a real...
Sorry.
So her life was in a real quandary. But lo and behold, came across this oil that Erin was doing. and got her onto that with the help of Brother Aaron, and she reported back that where she was at night, not able to sleep because of the coughing, she literally coughed all night so badly that the next door neighbors would complain that they can hear her coughing all night. I haven't had a patient with that complaint before. That's the worst. And so she reported back by burning the oil in a diffuser and taking it during the course of the day, she was able to sleep through the entire night without coughing. And that was a really major improvement. That wasn't marginal, that was major. And so with Erin's support from that point, we, to date, I think the news is she's no longer having that double lung transplant, and she's able to, I think the word is not cure, but she's able to manage with using some of the products and stuff that Brother Erin has available. But, you know, I want to say something very quickly, is that what Sophia said regarding the 5G switch, which now I understand can be done without consent, is quite significant. I mean, really, I need to put this out there. About 3 weeks ago, 2 to 3 weeks ago, I had literally continuous headaches for like 3 days. I never get headaches. Like I never get headaches. And if I get a headache, I know it's one of 2 or 3 things. I'm dehydrated. I just did a workout. The surge of blood goes to the brain. But I never get headaches. Never. And so I was questioning what it was. And what I did to stop it was, and the thing is, I fast a lot. I do intermittent fasting a lot. And so, you know, people get headaches from fasting. I actually don't. But if I did, I'd say yes, because I'm fasting. But I use this. This is shungite. And on my radio show on Friday, I had a patient ring in and said that he had a dream that he's a cancer patient of mine, actually. And he's come through very well. He's one of the survivors. And he said he had a dream that in a very kind of mystical dream, prophetic, known like a prophetic dream, an angel came before him and said, this stone is what you need to tell people about. So he rang in on my show to say that he wanted to bring my attention to it because I had already introduced him to a stone. And that stone was indeed shungite. And I let one of you guys talk more about it. I'll tell you that shungite is one of the medicines I believe for the future. I've got a way of getting this in the system, in the bloodstream. And that way you actually have this anti-radiation flowing inside you. I think the future is that kind of medicine. Real futuristic medicine, electromagnetic blockers and so forth. And regarding respiratory system, while we're on the subject, is that I heard either Derin or one of you mention about the effect of not having oxygen and how it affects, you know, the lungs or so. I want to make this point. Oxygen is our biggest, and there is nothing more valuable in the body than oxygen. And we should remember, lack of oxygen affects absolutely everything. There's not one system. There's no physiology in science in the human organism that will survive. No organ, no system will do well and not produce a disease at some point in time if it's deficient of oxygen. And one of the things that people miss in this regard is anemia. I mean, if you've got I've got over 100 cancer patients, and one of the things I push for them is they can't be anemic. Because if they're anemic, what's that tell you? That's the body telling you they haven't got oxygen. It's impossible to overcome cancer. Now, with regards to COVID-19 and all the other 19s, and factoring in 5G or 4G or any other G, and what Erin said is really, I think we overlooked what he was saying, and don't mind me reiterating, it's really important. There is a really stupid elephant in the room, and why people are behaving as if they are blindfolded. Like, hello, forget 5G for a minute. And I heard Sophia saying that 5G is so much more magnitude and magnified and stuff. Fine, we can come to that in a minute. But hello, 4G, 3G, 2G, 1G, whatever G is doing so much damage to listen to this, because forget about people firing off all these conspiracies about, oh, the 5G will go into the cell, deplete your oxygen, and make COVID do this and do that. Listen to this. Any G at all.
Energy. That's
Very
going to be
excited energy. Correct.
Dr. Mark, that's going to be the new talk. Energy.
Energy. Well,
I'm going to show you the pathway, what it does. If you look at the human body, that the top being psyche, like with the letter P, then the letter N, meaning neuro, then the other letter there being endocrinal, and then the last one being I for immuno. Those layers and sheaths of the body is how anything gets into you. Now, if we take the psyche, if we can imagine, the psyche is closely related to electrical current anyway. So note it that when any of the G's is influencing your home, your body, your atmosphere, your environment, it will affect your psyche. People will start to get, their dreams will be affected. And as Derin said earlier, me and Derin had this talk about 2 years ago. And I said to him, I said, Derin, what the hell is going on? Half of my patients are not sleeping. And then he spoke about the G's being one of the reasons why patients are not sleeping. Mental health patients, oh my God, the effect of 5G, all energy on mental health. On mental health. When any of these G's hit the psyche, and then the neuro, now check the neuro is an electrical body. All the neurological diseases are electrical diseases. So every single neurological disease will be affected by any of the G's. We don't even need 5G, any G. And then neurological, and that's, I mean, do we need to list them? Autoimmune diseases, and then endocrinal means the hormone diseases. Now, someone would say, how the hell do you get 5G or any G to affect someone's hormones? Well, here's how it happens. It affects your psyche. Your psyche is affecting your neuron, your neurological body. Now, listen to this. Your neurological body is your emotional body. That's where you feel emotions, so your neurons, and then further attached to those emotions is the hormones. And ladies, you know, when you have a cycle where you feel a certain way, you don't know why you have the hatchet standing behind the door for the husband. When he comes in, you just can't explain it. You're crying, and he's like, why are you crying, darling? And he's like, oh, no, I don't know why I'm crying. Because hormones are feelings. Hormones target organs and can make you feel things, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. Now, any of the G's can affect over increase or under a decrease in hormones. That's all the hormone diseases like hyperthyroidism, exophthalmic goiter. Again, most people forget this one. Diabetes is a hormone disease. Insulin is a hormone, and the pancreas is the biggest gland. So it's part of the endocrine system. Like, it's going to impact on all those systems. So 5G, when Brother Aaron said, you know, an elephant in the room, what he was saying is that let's not hype so much 5G, because you will overlook the other previous demons that we've been living with for decades now.
Wow, right on, bang, boom.
It's killing us. Brother Derin, and, you know, we cross-pollinate our sciences from time to time. We need to do it a lot more. He keeps complaining, Brother Mark, at least come see me. We can cross-pollinate every month, but it's been like once every 2 years. I really miss him. But I mean, I walk into Derin's consulting room once, I think the last time. My God, that was a wake-up call. He says, no, leave the phone out there.
That's right.
And it's a big, I mean, he's got the biggest consulting room among all of us, and I can say that. Massive. So I thought it's big enough to put, it says no, further. And then when he saw my dismay, he actually illustrated, he took up a device, switch it on where you can hear crackling with the frequency. He said, Dr. Mark, this is how the frequency, when you carry the phone with you up to the table to get your consultation, discuss stuff with me, this is what's happening all around us. He said, so I don't allow it. He said, put it over there, put it outside the room. And that's when I realized how serious a dilemma we had. And then I had a talk on my show with a doctor, and it would be good to have him. Is a top man in this country for all of this discussion and electromagnetic stuff. His name is Dr. Richard Cumbers, and he's responsible for Pain Genie, dear friend of mine. And he came on my show and said some stuff that I still haven't got over. And Sophia mentioned some of it, but he said this, to keep it short. He said he's in touch with 9 of the top medical doctors in America, and I believe him. He works with the army. He's actually crazy. So he said he spoke to one of them, and they said that they refuse to work with any patient with chronic illness if they're not willing to get rid of Wi-Fi in their homes. And then he said,
that's what I do. That's it.
He said
exactly. 100%.
The way you
100%.
He said the reason why he does that is because he says he confessed that he's not able to cure them.
Yeah, no. 100%. 100%.
No, you can't do it.
100%.
And me off by saying that it put me off by saying that actually, Mark, when you even get rid of yours, you get the guy upstairs next door under you. And he said, if you're in a tower block, he said it's literally impossible if you live in a tower block. That was very very disappointing. And so that made me realize that we're not just, we're doctors, we're healers, we're practitioners. Practitioners and holistic healers of the past, we never had to talk about electricity, radiation, infection, contamination, talking about geopathic stress and metal. We spoke about health, and anatomy, physiology, herbs, and treatment. Here we are talking about stuff to do with
wow. Exactly. Wow.
Gone so bad with where that doctors have to talk about physics and stress and so forth and metals and
I was in this for raw food and detoxing. Now we've got to do with radiation. Cause the problems then. Yeah, it's real. It's really real. People are taking so long to get this.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Sorry to interject, Dr. Mark. I just had notification that the patient that you spoke about, Pauline, she's actually on the call, and we can actually bring her in.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Before we do, can you? So you mentioned, is he based in the UK or is he based? The doctor that doesn't take any patients.
Oh no, he's based in Ireland. He's incredible. He's incredible. I can't get him. I can get him.
Okay, can we get him on for next week? Can we get him on for next week so he can come and share some insights on?
He's Dr. Cumbers. He's a busy man.
Very busy.
Dr. Cumbers, Erin, stay in your lane. You're talking about heavy people now.
I'll tell you what I'll try and do. I'll try give him a call right now and see if we can get him to call in.
Yeah, let's see if we can get him on. While you're doing that, while you're doing that, because if you can't get him to log in now.
Where would he call? Would he call? What would he do? What would he have to do?
No, you just have to log into Zoom, to the Zoom call. You can send in your link.
Can't he call my mobile and I'll put the mobile to
okay, old school.
Look, do it next week or we're going to lose track, man. I've got some notes gathered up, man.
I don't trust that we can book him for next.
That's fine. We could do that. We can do that. Well, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised that the level of goodwill that's available now that wasn't there before. Where people were busy, we're all busy, but we've made the time to avail ourselves today. So you'd be surprised if you don't ask, you won't know. So yeah, give him a call. See if you can get him on. Paulina's actually on the call with us today. She's the patient that Dr. Mark was talking about that was up for the double lung transplant and had been using the oil. And she's got an amazing, amazing story. I'm so proud of her. I'm so excited about her progress because we worked with her for about 6 months. Even in less time than that, we were able to take her from somebody who was meant to have a double lung transplant to now having no transplant at all. And she's actually gone back to the hospital, and the hospital have actually told her that her lung capacity, which is something they said cannot be reversed, idiopathic fibrosis is what they call an irreversible condition, which means the scarring of the lungs. And they said that the lungs cannot be healed, and we were like, that's impossible, that's rubbish, that's nonsense. There's no such thing as incurable disease, as Derin always says. There's only incurable people. So once we create a environment internally, then the body just does what it does best, which is to heal and to regenerate tissue. So that was our approach. And now, as a result of that, she's gone back to the hospital, and the hospital were astounded because they couldn't understand how her lung capacity has now been able to produce more oxygen than it was when she was using the oxygen machine. So I'm going to bring in Paulina. Paulina, I don't know if I can find you. I have to unmute everybody to get you to be able to speak. Paulina, if you can try unmuting yourself. In the meantime, we've got nearly 200 people on the call. Let me just go through to see if I can find you. If you can unmute yourself, Paulina, if you can. Just say hello once you've unmuted. Because I'm trying to search for you to unmute. Are you there? Paulina? Okay, let's have a look. If I can find you. What I'll do, I'll unmute. More than that, man. I'll unmute everyone, then I'll allow you to unmute yourself. Paulina, that's another good aspect. Is your name Paulina on the chat, Paulina? Not just try and find you. So I can unmute you. I'm going to check on my phone to see, because you said he's on the call. Let me just find it on the what a name would be on the system, because we've got nearly 200 people on here. Mute yourself, and let's see if we can get you on while Dr. Mark tries to get hold of that wonderful doctor. Hey, Richard! Wait! He seems like he's there. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to unmute everybody, and then I'm going to get Paulina. If I unmute everybody, can everyone just mute themselves back out, please? Let's do it the other way around. I'm going to unmute everybody so that we can get Paulina on. When I was going to be hard, because why don't I just get on my phone and see if I can get when I unmute you, if you can mute yourselves manually. Okay, I'll unmute everybody. Then if you can just mute yourselves immediately. Unless they get rid of their bloody Wi-Fi. We explained on my show how so much Wi-Fi coming through tower blocks. Participants. When you spoke on my show about... Okay, I've unmuted everybody. Everyone can mute themselves.
Yeah.
Paulina, can you hear me?
Get off of me.
Everyone mute yourselves manually, please.
And I can hear you, but there is too many people.
Okay, I'm going to mute everybody. I'm going to mute everybody. And then if you just mute, yeah, thank you guys, I really appreciate that. I'm going to mute everybody and then I'll let you speak. Paulina. Right, let me mute everybody. Hold on a minute, Paulina. I'm going to let you to I'm going to like to mute yourself. Unmute yourself. So give me 1 second. Okay, Paulina, unmute yourself, please. Can you hear me, Paulina?
Hi. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Fantastic. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. So if you just share a bit about your journey, how you started out with Dr. Mark and just where you are today.
I want to go back a little bit earlier that
no, please do. Please do.
When I met with Dr. Mark, because the problem started almost 15 years ago with me.
Wow.
And what the issue was that they told me that I have this idiopathic fibrosis. The technical term is actually desquamative interstitial pneumonia, which basically means that my lungs were scarring and I have fibrosis. And what happened is that every year I had hospital consultant. Every year you go there, you do the test, you do the breathing test, and they were giving me immunosuppressant medication, tablets over tablets over tablets, and every time, and they were giving me steroids as well. So in one hand, they were trying to lower my immune system because they were telling me that my problem is because my immune system was overreacting and fighting my own body. This is the explanation they give me at the hospital. They were telling me, Paulina, your own body is doing this. Your own body is fighting itself. Your own body is causing your lungs to die. Your lungs are dying. That's what they told me for years and years and years and years. So I started to believe this. So I was taking immunosuppressant medications to try to lower my immune system. And at the same time, they were giving me steroids to try to boost my lungs, my lung capacity. Because in one hand, they were making me stop breathing. In the other hand, they were trying to boost my lungs to breathe, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to breathe. And I went on for years and years and years and years with this thing, until at the end they told me, okay, that's it. We don't know what else to do. You need a double lung transplant. Now, I don't know if people realize what actually means to be told at 39 years old that you need a double lung transplant because your lungs are not working. My lung capacity, as for January 2018, was in the lower 20%. So they told me that I needed double lung transplant. And they told me that I needed to go to this specialist hospital and do this lung transplant. So I went. At the same time, my husband, bless him, I love him with all my heart, he started looking at other things and researching. And we found out Dr. Mark. And I went to him and I did a scan, and we found out that there is a lot of things that were already in my system that were killing my body. And that is when we started talking about the oil, we started talking about different products, we started talking about detoxing my body, because what the tablets and the medication that they were giving me at the hospital was doing was actually killing my own body. They were killing my own system. I also have to specify to everybody that I didn't have only these lung problems. I had bowel cancer and I had other problems as well, other medical problems. So in all of these, at the age of 40, I turned 40 at the end of last year. So I'm having illnesses. The people that are in their 70s, in their 80s, my body is the body of 80 years old. If people look at my clinical record, they think that I am 80 years old. And when I come to them and they see me, they are like surprised, because they don't expect a 40 years old to have all the medical illness that I have. So when people tells you all of these things about tablets and they tell you vaccine, we talked about the flu jab. I was taking the flu jab for years before realizing what actually is the flu jab. It's poison that they put inside your body to kill you. And now I actually awoken to say, no, thank you, I don't want this medication. I don't want the immunosuppressant tablets. I don't want the steroids. And thank God, by just using the respirate oil, by using the detoxing program, by using vegetables, garlic, ginger, chard, normal salad, normal fruit and vegetable, my body is breathing, my lungs are breathing. I was supposed to have the transplant last year. We didn't go through that because I said no. Having the transplant wasn't going to solve my problem. Having the transplant was meant to kill me, because the second that they take out my own lungs and they try to put somebody else's lung in my body, that will have killed me. And that will have been the end of me. So this is what I wanted to share. I don't know if anybody, Aaron, you want me to address something specifically?
Yes, thank you very much for that, Paulina. I just wanted to just address how you found the use of the lung oil and how you came to start using it, and what you noted, or what benefits you were able to derive from using the lung oil.
Absolutely, yeah. So basically, like Dr. Mark was saying, I had problems sleeping, and I couldn't sleep. And in fact, I spent years where probably I would sleep just for a couple of hours, and even badly. So I started using the oil, like Dr. Mark was saying. It was him who told me to come to you to get that oil, actually, if you remember, Aaron. Yes. And I use the oil in the diffuser. So I put the drops in the diffuser and I sleep with the diffuser on throughout the day, throughout the night, sorry. I can tell you, Aaron, the moment I fall asleep, I go throughout the night without waking up. Very peaceful sleep, very restful sleep.
Wow.
Because this is the point. Sleep is help the body to restore itself, to recharge. I wake up in the morning feeling energized. Before I will go to bed tired, and I will wake up tired, even more tired sometimes. And then I have to go to work, I have to move, I have children, so all of that. And still, you reach the end of the day that you are absolutely knackered. You want to sleep, you want to rest. And then you wake up that you're more tired than when you went to bed. Now it's not a problem anymore. I go to bed, I sleep throughout the night, I wake up and I feel regenerated. And I can breathe. I can breathe, Aaron, I can breathe.
Amazing. So, since because I know when I first met you, you were with Dr. Mark, and you were off work. Is that right? You were off work when you first came to us.
Yeah, I couldn't work. No, I couldn't work. How can I work if I can't breathe? I couldn't work.
So true. So, since you've now finished your program and you've gone back to the hospital, you said something happened at the hospital that actually blew my mind. It actually blew me away. What did the doctors actually say when you did your test when you went back to the hospital?
They couldn't believe how my lungs were, because what they test you at the hospital when you have breathing problems is your lung capacity. My lung capacity has gone up, and it continues to go up. When doctor was expecting me, because I told them that I stopped taking the tablets. So they didn't like that at all. They wanted me to try different things, and I was telling them that I have problems of side effects with the tablets. So they always try to make me try some other tablets, some different type of tablets. So when I went back, they couldn't believe that my lung capacity was actually going up. So I wouldn't know now, because unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever you want to put it, with the lockdown, I haven't had a visit in the last 6 months. However, last year, my lung capacity went from, I think I reached the bottom that it was 20%. I am in the 35 now. Wow. So my lung capacity is going up, increasingly up.
Wow. Glory.
You know?
Glory to.
And also I have to say that this is so only with the help of the oil, with the help of the detox program, because you know, Ananda, I had a lot of mineral and bacteria and viruses and parasites in my own body. And it was also Dr. Mark and machine and your machine that found all these viruses and all parasites that helped me to target them and to remove them from my body. It's a you know, Sophia was talking about wanting to change, wanting to make the change, or needing to make the change, because actually you're dying. So either you change or you die. That's the bottom line. So once I get to that point of wanting to do the change, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to leave. Once I make those changes, I can see the results. I can see that my lungs are naturally, it's not like my body that is killing itself. It's the environment where I am that was killing my body. And the things that were putting into my body, the tablets, the immunosuppressants, the steroids, all of these things that was putting into my body that were killing me and killing my lungs. And like you were saying, it's not only about lungs, because it targeted the lungs, but then it goes to the heart, to the liver, to the kidney, to the pancreas. Dr. Mark was talking about diabetes. I'm not diabetic, but we actually found out that there were, you know, problems with my liver. Oh, another thing about the liver. Nobody thinks about the liver, but it came out using Dr. Mark's machine that I have some problem with my liver. And your machine as well picked that one up, Aaron. And then when I started the detox program, it actually came out that much better. And before, I'm talking about in 2018, my liver was showing with the same levels of toxins of chronic alcoholic. I don't drink. I never drink in my life. I don't drink. And I never drank in my life. People who are looking at my lungs, yeah? The first thing they said, if you look at CT scan of my lungs, the first question they ask, how many years you been a smoker? I never smoked in my whole life. Never, 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 never smoked in my life. Ever. But they look at my lungs, the last picture they see of my lungs, and they will ask me, how many years you been a smoker? Because this kind of damage, only people who are heavy smokers have that kind of damage.
Wow. Wow.
So
Thank you.
yeah.
So you've now cancelled the double lung transplant now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a no-go. No, no, no. Yeah.
You're gonna continue letting your lungs heal naturally, using the products, continuing to do what you've been doing, following the program, and the lifestyle changes.
Absolutely, yes, yes. Because your body, it's your body, as you know, all of you are saying. God gave us all the ability, every single thing that we need is already inside us. What we spend our life doing is ruining what God gave us at birth. And what we need to go back to is to eat naturally and check our body and let it be naturally. Forget about all of these tablets and chemical medicine that they give you. It's all, even medicine itself has natural origin in plants and herbs and vegetables. So why do we need to go and get antibiotics, amoxicillin? I can't even say the name. I've been taking it for so many years, but still I don't learn the name. The antibiotics that the GP prescribe you, you go and take it when you can take some garlic and ginger and other natural antibiotics. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So we have about 200 people on this call at the moment, Pauline. What advice, based on the current situation that we are in, especially with the refugee system being most vulnerable, what advice would you give? You know, your main key advice would you give to these people on the call that they can take from your story to improve their life?
I think the most important advice, people, is to realize that our immune system is there. We already have a fighting machine inside us. It's built in. So what you need to do is to give fuel to the immune system. Make sure that it doesn't weaken. And the order to not make it weaken is to go back to natural products. Strengthen the immune system. Vitamin C, like people were saying, the oil to help you breathe if you have damaged lungs, because you need that help. And all other products, natural medicine, natural food, and, you know, herbs and vegetables that we are using to get our immune system up there. You don't need the vaccine for the coronavirus. Please, please, people, do not let anyone inject anything on yourselves. Don't go to hospitals and let them inject anything on yourself, because that is when you die. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much for that, Paulina. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. God bless you, my dear. Thank you so much for that, Paulina. It's really, really powerful, and, you know, a lovely parting message as well to really, you know, drive the point home that, you know, we need to be using more natural product. We need to be taking advantage of what God has already provided. As Derin said, this is natural medicine's finest hour. This is the time for us to really come to the furor and really let people know that everything they need has already been provided and it's readily available in nature. We'll just have to change that mindset of becoming dependent on the quick fix, on the medicine, on the fast, everything being, you know, fast results, silver bullets. We need to move away from that and start to use the things that we've always had, using plants, using natural products. Now, a lot of people have been asking, what is the oil? The oil is one of our formulations that we made to really help to any kind of respiratory issues and respiratory problems, because our approach with Paulina was that if they're saying you have scarring of the lungs, and that is idiopathic. They don't know what the cause is, and they don't know how to cure it. Our approach from a functional medicine and integrative approach, for every effect, there's always a cause. And when you look at the actual effect, i.e., which is the scarring, when you look at scarring as an actual function, it's when you cut yourself, your body produces a scar, which is the body's natural mechanism for isolating that area while it heals. So if she had scarring on her lungs, that means something was inflicting or afflicting the lungs, and the body was naturally trying to heal, which is what was causing the scarring. So our approach was to say, well, let's find out what's actually causing that scarring, because if you can stop whatever's causing the scarring, then the body's natural healing mechanisms of regenerating tissues would automatically kick in, because the immune system is trying to do that. So we said, let's use the oil, because we know the oils have powerful compounds and properties in the combination that we put together that will be able to stop the number one thing we found. Do you remember Paulina? Do you remember oh, she's probably gone, but there was a virus that we found that she had a high levels of all these viruses. Do you remember the viruses that you said, Paulina, that you had a lot of in your system?
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but there was, yeah.
Do you remember the adenovirus?
Oh yes, the adenovirus. Yeah, I remember now. Yes.
There you go.
Yes, definitely.
You remember?
I have it a lot. Yeah.
A lot.
It was coming up a lot. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that, my dear. As we said, most respiratory issues, we found over the years that the culprit virus behind these respiratory issues is the adenovirus. You have adeno37, adeno38, you have about 20 different adenoviruses that all combine, and they specialize in targeting the respiratory system. And these have been around for many, many years. But most people will have hay fever, they will have asthma, they will have fibrosis. And these are all symptoms. All these things that they're having, they're all symptoms. That's what they will diagnose the symptoms, and they'll prescribe a medicine based on the symptoms. But none of them are actually dealing with the underlying cause, which the medical community or the scientific community who make these viruses very well knows. They know that viruses are behind 80 to 90% of. That's why there's no test for viruses. Because if they test for viruses, it's like shooting themselves in their foot. They will never ever test for viruses, because if you find the virus, that means you found the secret weapon that they use to prop up their whole pharmaceutical industry. I don't know if I just said that, but that is the truth of the matter.
Aaron, can I?
Yes, dear.
Aaron, I just wanted to make a point, even importantly. It's about the respiratory problem. It's about every type of respiratory problem. Because for me, it was this idiopathic part, which basically they were just telling me that they don't know exactly what it is. So every time that you have any type of problem with your respiratory system, like you're saying, starting from hay fever, every single one of us suffers from hay fevers, but that is also a respiratory problem. That is also something that is there. And then you go up to the people who have what's it called, the COPD and everything else, you know. You go people who are smokers and they have smoking problems, all of this range covering your lungs. That is the main thing, that you need to protect your lungs, because like Sophia said at the beginning of the meeting, we can have the greatest immune system ever, but if you're not able to breathe, your immune system is not going to do anything for you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So everybody, you need to think about the first thing that you do. You wake up, you breathe. So protect your breathing. And to breathe, you need your lungs. Protect your lungs.
Thank you so much, Paulina. Absolutely right. And we found that every single condition linked to the respiratory system all had some level of adenovirus involvement. So we found by isolating those viruses and targeting, more importantly, destroying those viruses using the lung oil, we were able to remove the aggressor, accelerating the damage, and then we were able to, boost up our body with liquid oxygen and things that will help to, to keep the cells very well fed. and nourished, and then we obviously detoxed her with using things to cleanse the colon. We basically cleansed the liver, cleansed her body, and then just created an environment internally that was conducive to healing, and then the immune system took over and brought her body back into order, back into balance. Hence, she's now able to go back to hospital, and the hospital able to tell her that her lungs are starting to improve or increase capacity. You ready, Mark? 1 second. So where the lung oil, just to let you know, the oil, what it is, it's a combination of oils that we put together over the years. That's got about 6 different aromatic oils in specific ratios. And when you take them, you can take it in so many different ways. You can put it on your chest. You can actually put it on the soles of your feet because it goes into your body very quickly. You can put it in a diffuser because we found putting it in a diffuser is a very effective way for it to get deep into the lungs because you inhale it, you breathe it in overnight, and not only does it help kill the bacteria and kill the viruses, but it also clears the airways and it allows you to get a much more deep and restful sleep. So we found that through doing that, we were able to really positively impact her whole of her respiratory system, which was able to accelerate the healing. The name of the oil is called Respirate. It's one of our combination of products that we have together that deals with the respiratory system. It's called Respirate, RESPIRATE, and it's available on our website. Someone can post it on there. Thanks very much, Sophia. There's a link in the chat for Respirate. We also have the Aroma Fresh Duo, which is a spray. So the Respirate is an oil. You put it in your diffuser. You can put it, if you ever get any breathing problems, if you ever get any breathing difficulties, it's important that you have this. Everyone should have at least one bottle in every household, because when the actual virus, whatever it is, impacts your body and you find yourself having difficulty breathing, just a couple of drops on your chest or on your clothes or on your hanky, or as we say when we go to Dr. Mark, you put a couple of drops in your hand and you inhale it very deeply. It will clear the whole of your respiratory system. It clears the sinuses and it actually gets up into your brain and boosts and gets into the limbic system. So you actually get a little bit of a high because obviously your immune system is stimulated and everything starts to activate on a much more accelerated level. So I'm just explaining this very quickly because I know Dr. Mark got the gentleman on the line right now. Great. We'll give you more in the chat and when we finish with this, the doctor that Mark got. So thank you once again for that, Pauline. I really, really appreciate that. And we'll go into more of it next week when we do our follow-up call. So Dr. Mark, I'm going to unmute you because I believe you have the fantastic, is it Dr. Richard on the numbers? I told you, if you don't ask, you don't get, right?
Yeah, Richard, I work with him, so well, I can get him, put it that way.
There you go.
Yeah, so Paulina, that was really a wonderful story of recovery. And they're not always that, pleasant. That was great. And I've seen her come a long way, and that's good news to hear that things have turned out like that. I want to mention that the Respirate and anything that stops coughing will improve lung capacity. And that's why they saw a 10% increase in their lung capacity. As long as you keep coughing, for whatever reason, you damage lung tissue, you get scarring. She already had scarring. Fibrosis means that she had idiopathic fibrosis. So the fact that you Respirate stopped her coughing, that automatically would improve her lung capacity. However, lung capacity in real terms would really be improved through exercise. So I want to just encourage those who may have respiratory diseases that one of the things moving forward for improving your lung capacity is definitely exercise. Even if you're taking Respirate and it's working, you need to exercise whenever you can do that without causing harm, and your lung capacity improve. I'm going to call Dr. Richard Cumbers. I got through to him, explain everything. And
before you do that, Dr. Mark, just before you do that, now I know we're on overtime. We're supposed to finish at 4, so I do apologize for us going over the time because obviously it wasn't planned. And we're going to go into this much level of detail. So if anybody does need to go, we are trying to record it. I'm going to find out how we can get the recording. It's going to be quite a long recording to get it uploaded, so it'll be available. So those who registered will have your email address, and we will send it to you. If you do need to leave,
it's a call in now, so let me go
ahead, Dr.
Right. Right. Ten minutes, I think. Hey, Richard.
Hi
Hey, so I believe, let's see if you can hear. Can you hear Richard, Aaron? Can everybody hear Richard?
Loud and clear. I can hear him loud and clear. It sounds amazing.
This is great. This is great. This is absolutely fantastic. So, Richard, your name keeps coming up, as I said, whenever we talk about, you know, geopathic stress, electromagnetic radio contamination, and all of that stuff. I can't help but bringing you up. And then when you shared with me about doctors, some of the top doctors in the world, really, who refuse to work with patients unless they've got rid of all this, you know, Wi-Fi stuff in their homes. Could you just share? We're talking about obviously the COVID-19 crisis and things people can do. In this regard, the stress factors from radio contamination. You know, so can you just give us some tips, pointers? The floor is yours.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, very well.
Yeah. So basically, I'm a researcher and also been in the natural health business for about 25 years or so. And it was obvious to me a long time ago that EMF radiation, which is electron frequency.
Could you hear that? Could you hear that? There's some noise in the background there. I can't. Could you hear that?
Yeah, I could hear him. Yeah, I could hear him loud and clear.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, Richard, that's great. That's better.
Okay. So yes, I've been looking at it. Really, I'm really a messenger because I've just been researching what's been going on, and it's fairly obvious that the telecoms industry is now more powerful than pharmaceutical or the oil business. So telecoms is everywhere, and there is obviously a lot of money in it. Now, based on that, when you look around, you can also see there's a lot of to ensure that you know, telecoms, Wi-Fi, 5G, 4G, 3G, Xbox, everything is now wireless. So when you look back even recently, you see that around about 2018, there was a petition by 26,000 scientists opposing the rollout of 5G. EMFscientists.org, you'll also see 220 or so of the leading EMF scientists who just specify the frequency, have also signed a petition saying that they think that the dangers far outweigh any benefit. So based on what they're saying, and there are some 20,000 studies that have been done over the last 70 years, all from scientists and anecdotal evidence from areas where I've been next to phone masts, etc. So it's not like just a few studies. I mean, this is absolutely massive what's going on now, and also very interesting because obviously currently we're in a lockdown pretty much worldwide. But you can see by looking at YouTube and other organisations that are putting messages out there, or at least I've been informed of these. So you need to check it out. But people have told me that while this lockdown's on, they're rolling out 5G towers all over the place. Mainly it's been suggested to me because people just didn't want it. They just didn't want this stuff out there. They try to block even the 4G towers coming out. And so an opportunity now when no one's around to go and get this stuff out there. But if you look at the level, you can SpaceX, for example. SpaceX obviously is an organisation putting satellites into space. On the 29th of March 2018, the Authority for the Control of EMF Radiation, the 4,425 satellites into low orbit around Earth. And there are something like 6 or 7 companies that intend to put up 20,000 satellites. And believe me, they're rolling these things out in 20, 30, 50 a week, I've been told now. So that basically there's no place on Earth where you can avoid the 4G or any type of radiation. So this comes down to obviously the industry I guess I have been some sort of collusion with government to get stuff out there. But certainly, when you research what top scientists are saying, they're saying that, for example, the microwave that you put your food in, which I don't have a microwave, I wouldn't use one, because if you put your food into it, basically ignites and destroys the water, which heats the food up. Well, that frequency for your microwave, believe it or not, is exactly the same frequency that is for your Wi-Fi. It's not as intense, but it's the same frequency. So effectively, if you look at the supposed regulations of EMF radiation, they're measured in microwatts per meter. Now, scientists say that the safe level is 0, but in the past sort of 100 years, the amount of EMF radiation has increased 1 quintillion times. With 18 North Star thread. You can see that such a massive change on life forms that are basically used to either no radiation or just Earth's magnetic radiation are going to be massively impacted by this. So this is another reason that a lot of people are now saying that these different frequencies that are coming out of the new installations of 5G are a targeted array, as people like Mark Steele points out, and people like Dietrich Klinghardt, and many people all over, and you can find them now. But increasingly, it seems that they're, so I've been told, so I'm the guys, but I've been told that increasingly their YouTube videos are either being interfered with or taken down. You can make up your own mind what's going on, but certainly people have to realise that if you're listening to me now, I'm talking over a phone, bouncing off a line and different things, and you can't see my voice, and you can't see the radiation coming into your phone or your TV or your radio, but it's there. And if you really want to get into it, there's a book called The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. And in The Invisible Rainbow, he points out that since 1890, with the rollout of electrical appliances, radar, etc., they've always coincided with major health conditions. And it's all listed in his book called The Invisible Rainbow. With nearly further studies doing problems with the human body and animals. Look at the bees and look at the insects. Look at the normal publications. 80% of the insects now are no longer here. There's colony collapse disorder with the bees, thanks to things like glyphosate and EMF radiation. And so, getting all the insects, they're going first because they're small and their bodies can't take as much radiation as we can. By extrapolation, you can see that all these scientists, presumably, are saying this because they're seriously worried about the future of the human race. So a lot of information to be found, but people really need to do their own research and look at what's happening generally worldwide with people getting ill from things that no one seems to know what they're ill from. Radiation is, I think, a major issue. Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, you need to check him out. Klinghardt is spelled Klinghardt, I think. He is on to say if someone installs a smart meter in your house, you really don't want it, you shouldn't have it. And in his own words, there is a $20 solution for the smart meter.
Dr. Mark, you know what? You see, my pen's falling out my hand. He's just touched on some very, very salient points that we need to really drill down on properly and fully. And I've had a plethora of messages come through on the chat saying that they really want to hear the points he's making fully because they can't hear him completely, fully. However, they've managed to glean the information about the book. They were asking about the author, which we've managed to be able to, someone's been able to so graciously posted it in the chat. We'd like to find out, Dr. Mark, if Dr. Richard would be so gracious as to avail himself for us for a short time next week as one of the panel members so that he can really share some of the really powerful insights and information he has to really empower a growing.
What day is it? What day is it?
Sunday, next week Sunday at 2 o'clock.
So what's happening, Richard, is I can see it as well. We're getting lots of people saying that they'd like to hear you in more full spectrum. So would you be willing to come on our webinar next Sunday? I think it starts at 2?
2 o'clock.
What date is that?
That's next Sunday. What date is that? Next Sunday?
Somebody post a date for next Sunday, please. What's next Sunday date? Someone can post that for us, please, so we can check his diary.
Is next Sunday is the 3rd of May.
Thereabouts, there you go.
Running a teleconference with 3 other energy medicine people a day. So I don't know, I might be able to do something that will be 2 o'clock for half an hour, or it have to be the next Sunday after that.
Actually, we start at 3 next Sunday. We're starting at 3 next Sunday. We're not starting at 2, we're starting at 3. If that's
3 o'clock.
Well, I'm kind of I could probably maybe do something at 3 o'clock for half an hour.
Perfect.
I guess I'd have to. I got do something at 3 o'clock. Yeah, on Skype or Zoom or something.
Do it on it's Zoom, yeah.
Zoom, yes.
Okay, if you send me a Zoom link,
Yeah.
I'll make sure that I'm around at 3 o'clock for half an hour or 45 minutes. I'll do my best to.
That's absolutely fantastic. You said you have to go out right now as well. You're on your way somewhere.
Yeah, I've got to go in about 5 minutes. I'm on my way somewhere. Yeah.
Do you want to wrap up with anything, Richard? I know when we spoke about this, you came on my show, we spoke about so much, I'd called for weeks. You mentioned, I don't want to do that now. You mentioned something that people can get, that they can plug in. I mean, you got so much information, my God, I don't want to set you off. But you mentioned at the time that people can go into one of these shops. They can't now because there's a lockdown. But you mentioned some sort of technology that you had worked out that you can plug into the wall. One of the things Richard said, which I should put that out there right now, is he said, anyone listening on this show now should plug out their cordless phone. It's the worst type of all. The cordless phone, when you plug into the wall, but you walk around the house with the cordless, phone itself, that's the worst one. And on my show, he begged people to plug them out and don't ever use them again. And I'm sure he would say the same thing right now. So,
absolutely, and the digital cordless phones, they're called DECT phones, DECT, which stands for Digital European Cordless Telephones. And the issue with them is that those phones, they're supposed to be easy to use because there are no cables on them, but they're outputting usually between 1,000 to 2,000 microwatts per meter, 24/7. And there's only about 2 or 3% of them that actually are outputting when you're on the phone. The rest of them are outputting literally all the time, whether you're on the phone or not. But also be aware, your smartphone is not really smart because it can act like a base station, and even if you're not using it, it can be relaying messages to other phones. So it's an issue that people really have to decide themselves on. But I think there's so many scientists now and so much data that we know there must be some sort of agenda because they're rolling it out whether you like it or not.
That's right. That's right. So, Richard, we're going to let you go. We don't want to delay you any further. Thank you so much for that. Next Sunday at 3 o'clock, we're going to look forward. All the listeners are looking forward. They're sending up lots of texts saying they love the information. They wish they could hear you clear. They want to hear more. And so I know what they're about to expect. I know what they're going to get on next Sunday. I tell them, don't miss it. So we look forward to that, Richard. Have a wonderful day, what's left of it. And we need to be in touch because we need to be in touch as well. I want to say this on air, that you just come up with a new electromagnetic scanning device like the one I've got.
That's right, yeah. I call it a Tesla Health System, and we are marketing it. We're not really publicising it too much, but we have on one of our websites, we have a lot of interesting information about how everyone can use this for their health. And really, it's about taking charge of your own health now, because as you can see, people are now having toothache and a normal operation that would be simple, and the people are getting ill because they can't get to a hospital because there's nobody in the hospital. And yet we're told that everyone is succumbing to this virus, but the information that I can see the doctors are talking about on the internet, all the hospitals seem to be empty or half full. So I don't know what's going on.
So we have to take it up in our own hands, looking after our health. That's really wonderful. That's pretty excellent. Okay, can you do me a favor and either contact me sometime during the rest of the course of the rest of the day and let me know how I can get. So when I spoke to you, you said it wasn't ready. If you just update me when I can get one of those machines and so forth.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Excellent. If I don't hear from you, I'll be calling you back, Richard. Calling you back.
No worries. And,
calling you back.
See you guys at 3 o'clock next Sunday.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. A thousand claps and a standing ovation, mate. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Richard.
Yes, bye. Bye.
Amazing. Top man from nowhere, that from nothing. So this is another thing where I say to people, never be scared to ask, because if you don't ask, you don't get. We know he's a very busy guy. We know he's a very senior practitioner in his field, very great scientist, very amazing, powerful researcher. But look, I mean, sometimes when the time is right, everything becomes accessible. The veils are coming down now, so a lot of things that people couldn't access before, they're now able to access. So let's really take advantage of this era, this period. This is an amazing time to be alive, by the way. We're going to see things that I said we've never seen before, as Derin mentioned earlier. A lot of things we're going to experience are things we've never experienced. The veil is being brought down on a lot of things that we've been mystified by, and we're now got access to start, recognizing that we haven't got to just depend on one source for all of our information and for all of our healing, because everything that we need is very much accessible and at our fingertips. But we just have to really retune our mind and just open our eyes a little bit wider.
People are asking about shungite. They're asking for the info. If I could just give them the phone number for Melchizedek, where they can get full range of shungite. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm clear.
Right. So where you can get shungite is from a gentleman called Melchizedek. He's also an amazing scientific person. And his number is 079 50 582 725. That's 079 50 582 725, and that's for a wide, very broad range of shungite, including that one I got from him. He does things like that one, which is made like a brain. That one's just jumped off. It's got so much energy in it, but then it goes like a brain, like that. And so call him, and he should be able to make you whatever you want, jewels in whatever form you want. So that's Melchizedek.
Thank you. What I would say, but shungite is very good. It's a very good product at absorbing, EMF, radiation, and other frequencies. What I would say, or just caution, is that just be mindful that shungite does actually does fill up, and once it's absorbed its maximum levels of radiation, it's no longer able to absorb anymore. And that's when it gets to a stage where there's a process where you have to, I think you have to bury it in the ground, and it allows it to discharge.
Recharge it.
That's right, and then recharge it. So just be mindful that shungite is very good, but it has a shelf life, so to speak, because I've had people that I thought, yeah, if I've got shungite, I'm safe for life. You may be, depending on the level of exposure that you have, the shungite will protect you to the point where it's absorbed its maximum, and then once it's reached its capacity, then you'd have to either look at recharging or getting an additional device. We do have
show them how to recharge it. Melchizedek has a way of recharging.
Oh, he has? Okay, good. If you can show them that as well, that's a good thing to, because once you've got that, I know it's quite an involved process, and you want to make sure that people have got access to the environment that you need, in order for it to be done effectively. But yes, it's definitely a good tool for in the interim. Yes, it is. But next week we'll be going into more solutions that you can use to really protect your body, to protect your cells. More importantly, we'll be going into more of the solutions that are available that you can use to actually absorb a lot of the toxins from out of your system, especially the heavy metals. Things like chlorella, things like spirulina, different algae that can really remove these toxins, because the heavy metals are big conductors of radiation, and it takes them deeper into your cells. So, you know, we'll cover more of those things next week. I'm conscious that we're well over the time. We did say we're going to do 2 hours, and we want to try and, you know, keep to that, although we've gone way past that. But we've had quite a lot of questions. Somebody mentioned CMOS, also, yeah, mercury as well. I'm going to use just 5 minutes, Dr. Mark, just to really just go through some of the questions. And if anyone's got any quick fire questions, any really burning questions, I'm going to just ask you to type it in the chat. I'll share your for the Neurovax. Okay, yeah, Neurovax will share that next week. We have got so many solutions. We've got a solution that really helps. It's a patch that you can put on your body that it enables your immune system to almost go into take a quantum leap and really, Claudette, if you can just mute yourself, thank you. You got a question? Mute yourself, Claudette, or are you doing your rice and peas?
I've just finished it. It was mind blowing. It's really made me think. You know, I had to change my life because I did the detox with you, which has been fantastic. What I wanted to check for you is the lung one. I went on your line just a minute ago, and you haven't got any in stock. When will it be available?
It's not the lung flush. It's the respirate.
The respiratory lung thing.
Yes, it's respirate.
Yeah, I looked at it and it said it's out of stock.
Really?
Yeah, the respirate.
Okay, if you log back in about an hour, it'll be there. I don't know why.
Yeah, I just went online.
And you checked on respirate, because you can also check on the LOL. The LOL.
Yeah, I just went online.
The LOL, which is the Love Our Lungs, which is the kit, the respirate starter kit. You'll be able to get the respirate in there. But,
yeah, I've seen that one.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for alerting me for that. We'll make sure we'll get the IT team to look into that, because there is stock.
Regarding the respirate,
and you can look, yes.
Regarding the respirate, it's at the moment at our clinic also.
Medipark, yes.
Park Clinic. I need to give the details out for that. It's at Medipark Clinic, the respirate and the spray, but we haven't yet got, just so people know, we haven't yet got the diffusers, but we should get that midweek.
Yeah, I've got one of your diffusers, Aaron, because remember when I came down, so I've got your diffuser, right, which is brilliant, but it's just I'd like the respirate thing because my husband suffers with asthma and hay fever really bad.
Yes, that will really help with the asthma. It helps with hay fever. It really, anything really help with that. And there's different ways of him using and applying it, but just use the ways that we've suggested today. And you'll get okay. Tomorrow, if you want to quickly share your clinic details so they can pick up some respiratory stuff.
Yeah. So
lovely. Yeah.
For the time being, I'd prefer if my patients, or anyone want to collect it, do that on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I think by then we'll have some of the diffusers. So they can either call me to arrange it. I'll be there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I understand the clinic called me yesterday or so to say that you've also delivered another box.
Yes, that's for Dr. Ibrahim. Dr. Ibrahim, he's ordered a few hundred.
For his Turkish community.
Turkish community, yes. So we delivered something for him.
Our community, patients of mine, and those people from our community, but I think he's reserving them for the Turkish community. He's gone on TV, Turkish TV, and they've illustrated the respirate and the stuff and the diffuser. So I'm saying for people of our community, you should get it from me at the same clinic, but for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, that's when I'll be there, and then you can collect respirate from me personally. And that's Medipark Clinic, and that's 573 Green Lanes, 573 Green Lanes, that's London N8, 0RL, that's 0 Romeo Lima. And my number is 07904 890 723. 07904 890 723.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Mark. People are asking for the information on the website. People are asking about the WhatsApp group, and they're also asking about how we can get information for the video and for next week. Just going with the first question first. The website is 3 words, gojuicedetox.com. 3 words, go, then juice, then detox.com. You just click on shop, and it will take you through to the shop where all the products are available, and a lot more that we haven't spoken about today. For those who are asking about the WhatsApp group, we are going to start a Telegram group because we find that WhatsApp is very intrusive and it's also very much monitored by Facebook, because Facebook have full rights over everything that's shared on WhatsApp. So we will start a Telegram group. So what I would say in the meantime, between now and next week, if you download Telegram, it's a little bit like WhatsApp, but a lot more robust and a lot more extensive and expansive in the tools and resources that it has and what it allows us to do. If you join the Telegram group, all the messages that were there before you join, you would have access to them, where something like WhatsApp is very restrictive, doesn't allow you to do that. So Telegram Messenger, you can download Telegram Messenger, we'll give you the details of the group. That's it, everyone's asking what's that? It's a new messenger system. It's much more robust and modernized and much more secure than WhatsApp. WhatsApp is very restrictive, so we find Telegram is a lot more effective. So if you download Telegram, we'll share the details of the group next week. We're going to be doing it next week at 3 p.m. The other question was somebody was asking about Dr. Mark. He's given the details of his clinic. They're asking for the postcode. Dr. Mark, if you could quickly share the postcode.
The postcode, again, is Medipark. If someone could type it in while I'm saying it so everyone can get it, it's MEDI-Park Clinic, Medipark Clinic, and then it's 573 Green. Someone could type that in,
573 Green Lanes, Medipark Clinic. Someone type that in for him. Thank you very much.
Then it's London, that's what they're asking for, London, N8. 0RL. That's it. Someone's put it in. That's it.
Fantastic. And someone was asking about the video. We're going to see if we can download the video from the cloud once this is concluded. We'll conclude in a couple of minutes. We're just wrapping up now. Everyone is registered, so I'm assuming that we should have everyone's email address so we can share the details of the recording once it's done. I already ordered and paid for delivery. Oh, yeah, someone asking about delivery. Yes, once you order the respirate, it's delivered next day. Normally delivered by next day courier. So you get as long as you put your full details, your contact number, you'll get a text message with a window, and 1 hour window of the delivery. Yeah, so once you order it, it's normally comes by next day, or within 1 to 3 days, you'll get your delivery straight away. If you want to order online, failing that, you can pick it up at Medipark Clinic from Dr. Mark.
Someone's asking about vitamin C.
Vitamin C, yeah, we have vitamin C's there. You've got liquid oxygen. I don't know, Mark has a load of fantastic products, but we're going to go through that in more detail. We're going to go into the products more next week because we'll have a little bit more time. Next week, as I said, we're starting at 3 p.m. Someone's asking about the scan, the body scan. The body scan, the details of the body scan are all on the website as well. If you go on the website, we've actually got a special offer at the moment where you can purchase a voucher, purchase a ticket, a special offer voucher ticket on the website at a reduced price, and you can redeem that within 1 month. It's just available while the lockdown is in process. Right, I'm just trying to carry all the where's Derin stuff? Derin, I think Derin's had to shoot off. I think you may have had a client to see. Derin, are you still here with us, Derin? Yes, next week, the link for next week, it's the same link. At the moment, it's the same link. Someone's asking, it's the same link for the chat next week. It'll be the same link if we're using Zoom, which I think we will, because I've just increased it to 500. So if we're using Zoom, you can just click on the same link that you had this week, and it will give you access to the chat next week at 3 p.m. The time will be 3 p.m. instead of 2 p.m. So we move to 3 p.m. And we'll have somebody, as you mentioned, somebody give us some really good feedback. So thank you for those who've taken time to give us feedback about having someone monitor the chat. So there will be somebody monitoring the chat, and they'll be making a note of the questions to make sure that you guys, when you're asking questions, if it's something burning, you can definitely make sure it's answered. I would love some important info for next week possible. Yep, Bianca, no problem at all. You'll get that sent to you via your email for details that you provided. Thank you, very useful information. Thank you to everyone, stay blessed. So guys, we're just wrapping up now. So we may just leave the chat on for a couple of minutes for those who want to take any information that's been shared in the chat. If you want the website details for the lung oil, you can get it from the chat. It's gojuicedetox.com. Just click on shop. You can also get Dr. Mark's details for the Medipark Clinic. Fantastic clinic in Green Lanes in North London. Sophia has also shared her details. You can also get the details of the gentleman for the Shungite. And yeah, I think that's just about it. So thank you so much, guys, for taking the time. Once again, apologies for going over the allotted time. It was a lot to get through, a lot of information. Hopefully you found it useful. And we'll look forward to seeing you all again next week.
Could I kindly give vitamin C therapy just for those who are not sure how to take it? It will take me 60 seconds. So use the powder, because there's lots of stuff floating around. Don't use the tablets. Don't use the effervescent. Use the powder only, because with the powder you can get a teaspoon of vitamin C powder, which is pharmaceutical grade, is equivalent to 5,000 milligrams. I recommend that you take a heap teaspoon, because COVID-19 and the superbugs, as I call them, are more virulent. So you need about a heap teaspoon, which is about 7 to 10,000, and that's sufficient. And if you put that in a quarter glass of fruit juice, not dilute, and not your orange dilute and so forth, but fruit juice, and add about 50 drops of echinacea tincture to that. You can get that from A. Vogel, and Holland Back does that. You can get it online from Viridian, all on Amazon. You get it in a couple of days. And about 50 drops of the tincture of echinacea in the heap teaspoon of vitamin C powder in a quarter glass of juice. Stir that really well, get every bit out, and drink it all at once, preferably on an empty stomach. Okay, and you do that. You can do that morning and evening for just boosting your immune system. But if you already got COVID or symptoms like that, you should do that every 4 hours. It does work.
Yes, and you can again. Someone's asking where can I get the powder from? We do a very powerful vitamin C. It's made again from plants, so we actually call it vitamin C complex, because it's a complete full spectrum plant-based vitamin C. So it has all the flavonoids, the polyphenols. It's got a bit of beta carotene. It's called the high-grade vitamin C complex. It's on the website again, Gold Juice Detox. If you type in vitamin C or Omega C, you'll find it on there. It's a powder form. It's all camu berry. Camu berry is the highest form of vitamin C. Again, it's from the Amazon forest, the Amazon jungle. It comes from the rainforest. We deal with the suppliers directly from there. It has camu berry in it. It's also fortified with sodium ascorbate, and it also has some MSM to help with the absorption. So you get a much deeper absorption, deeper into the cells. You can get that on the website. It's part of our immune booster kit. So when you go to the homepage, you'll see the immune booster kits, which contains all the above. It contains a respirate, it contains a vitamin C, it contains liquid oxygen, and some oxyflush to really cleanse the colon. But again, as I said, we'll go through more of that next week when we're talking about solutions. So as I said, we're going to leave the chat on for a couple of minutes. But for now, we're going to wrap up the call. Thank you so much once again for lending us your time and giving us your ears and giving up your Sunday afternoon. Hopefully you found it useful and beneficial. Make sure you spread the word for next week. We're going to be back again next week at 3 p.m. And we'll obviously be joined by Dr. Richard as well, and maybe another guest speaker to join the panel. But apart from that, go and enjoy your rice and peas, hopefully without the rice. We'll tell you about that next week. Any last closing comments, Dr. Mark?
Just Medipark, you've got the details there. Just to say that, just this. You know, there are a number of forgotten people at the moment because COVID has taken so many and become the limelight. There are people suffer with cancer. There's people suffer with these underlying issues, diabetes, hypertension and stuff. And some of them are borderline going into emergency crisis. I had to send one to the hospital yesterday for a brain scan. And so people are on that borderline. I'm back in the surgery on just 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you feel you need your elderly mother or father or member of the family that needs urgent attention, do call me on my number, 079 04 890 723, and we can arrange an appointment for a scan. It's a MOT, it's a body scan that does the whole entire body. We can see where the status of the body is. Just like Paulina, I was able to see that her liver was toxified from the drugs she was taking, and she was never going to get well unless we purged the system. So give me a call in that number if you're in that category, and I'll do my best to help you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mark. Fantastic, guys. So thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful Sunday. Really enjoyed your company, and we look forward to seeing you next week. God bless you.